What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the FNtasia podcast. We're 3 episodes strong right now. I can't believe it. I thought I was gonna just give this up after 1 week, but we've made it to 3. We'll see how long the streak goes. And this week we've got some new faces and some new voices for the audio listeners as well. We got the wonderful Mini Miner in here, and as well as that, we've joined by the carry in the resub and Destiny duo. Seeing Jesus himself. So excited to have the boys on. For the people who are wondering, before I let these wonderful men introduce themselves, Boop is still recovering. I don't know if any of you guys have seen, but prayers for Boop. I know he wasn't feeling too good. He was feeling a bit ill or whatever. He's still recovering. And Resub is doing physio today, I think, or something. Resub's an old man now, you know, he needs to stretch out the joints and all that.
He's got a sore neck, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So, you know, that's why they're not here, but I'm sure they'll be back soon. Enough waffle now. Mini, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's great to be here. I actually listened to the first 2 episodes. Already enjoying it so far. Yeah, you guys are crushing it. So good to be involved. And yeah, thanks for having me on. It's gonna be a fun show.
What have you been up to lately? What's been happening?
I mean, obviously doing the broadcasts. For those who don't know, I do the broadcast with Levin, where we're both analysts on EU, so we're having fun with that. We have a break now though, so we have ages until the next one, it seems like. But yeah, making my own content, streaming a bit, you know, just chilling and trying to grind alongside as well. Not quite doing as well as DJ and Reese, though, unfortunately, in accounts, you know, they're
actually,
right now.
It's not a hard bar. It's really not a hard bar.
Mini and I played the
I wanted to say that.
We played the performance eval on Tuesday, and we did outplace, you know, Reese and DJ. So, you know, I think we're similar levels to those guys. Yeah,
we're cooking.
I wanted to say quickly, Levin, did I see you play the solo cash cup yesterday?
No comment.
I saw
No.
No
Having a look at the points you got wrong.
No, guys, come on, wait. Just wait, guys, come on. Just wait. Leave you alone.
Didn't know you were getting back into comp. Okay.
Let me breathe,
I
man.
see you.
Let me breathe. How you been then, Harry? Since you're watching everyone's results, have you been playing?
I haven't played. I play not very well, but you know, playing still. But no, it's been good. It's been good. Going through FNCS, as we talked about last week. Now, most people's FNCSs are done already, but you know, it's it's been good. FNCS I've enjoyed a lot, and yeah, just getting on preparing for lower bracket, and yeah, it should be good.
And then, last but definitely not least, the wonderful DJ. For the people that don't actually know, DJ has done FNtasia before. You were on, you know, FNtasia back with me and Bala like 4 years ago.
That was so long ago, man.
So you're not a new guest to the show, like you
no,
are,
I'm returning.
Yeah,
4 years
returning.
late return. But thank you for having me on.
4 years later, what's the life of DJ like?
Still the same room. Same shit placements and solos, you know.
You did decent, no? You qualified.
But Colin play. No, okay, I'm not even funny.
Hold on.
Qualifying top 12k, whatever it is. It's not the hardest. I know you guys are, you know.
This thing's 11 here. I mean, 35-point warrior.
I'm looking at the resub 29,000.
Nice.
Levin 63,000. We've got Boot 84,000. 84,000. I didn't even know that many people played. And
just leave me out. It's fine. Leave me out of there. It's fine.
Yeah. It was like 50.
I came 30,000th as well. Just fitting right in between. But yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but still just cracking on, playing the game, getting older, hairline's going back, you know.
Yeah, it's the same old story, really. Same old story. Brink in the chat did say they've gone full British. Is it over?
True.
That is true. Yeah. This is the first full British roster, which I'm very pleased with. This was actually the end goal, but you know, I digress. Yeah, well, we got one Welsh. We ain't got like the full like UK. If Reese was here, we'd have like the full proper UK. But it's you sort of mentioned it, Mini. It's been a bit of a slow week because you know FNCS Qualifier 2 wrapped up, and now we've got this like weird 2-week break that they sort of just spawned in. Like it was initially 1 week, and then right before FNCS, they're like, by the way, it's actually 2 weeks now. So enjoy your break for the players. Which, yeah, don't know about that one. Great for the players. But yeah, it's been a bit of a downer, but we will get into all things FNCS Qual 2. We're going to run back like the good, the bad, the ugly format from last week. That was a bunch of fun. There's a couple other things I think will be fun to talk about, and then depending on time, we have some fun sort of stuff to get through as well that we can have some laughs with. But the one thing I think everybody's been dying to hear us discuss and really get the discourse on was an update, a change that they made in the Tuesday update. I mean, it really, really did come as a surprise to me. And I'll get it up on screen, the tweet now from the Fortnite official account. Let me get it up.
Is there an update?
There was a big update,
Big
DJ.
update.
You clearly weren't locked in.
No, it's not.
At Fortnite Game said, we want emotes to be a source of good vibes, but a few cough cough take the L cough can sometimes feel a bit overly confrontational. Tomorrow's update will introduce a new confrontational emote setting to toggle visibility on these emotes.
At least they're targeting toxicity in the right way. You know, ignore all the cheaters, ignore all, you know, the offensive names and everything that goes on social media. Taking the L is where we need to draw the line. You know, that is where it's a bit too much. But it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Just that taking the L is having to be, well, not removed, but you have to, you know, have a setting so people don't find it too toxic to play pubs. I don't know, I'd find it ridiculous.
I have a hot take. Right, it's a very, not even, it's probably like lukewarm at best, right? Yeah. I think it's a somewhat good change because it is a little bit annoying. You know, when you hop into a, you know, some 1v1 map and there's some like 13-year-old Serbian kid or something, right? And you kill him and he just does the laugh emote, the donkey one, and he spams it because he's annoyed and he just spams it over and over. It does remove that. It doesn't bother you. That's, I think, the one benefit.
Yeah, I can say that.
I suppose. I think it's more for like when people kill you though, and they're doing the emote, right? And that's that's their goal. But for me, it doesn't make a difference whether they do like take the L or just like a regular like gritty. Like people gritty on me all the time. Like it doesn't make a difference. I'm not really like, oh, this guy's killed me, but he's doing the floating while sipping a cup of tea emote. I'm fine now. I'm not raging. Like it still has the same effect. Like whether they emote or not, it's like it doesn't matter what emote it is. So. It's an interesting one for me that I don't really see the benefit, but and also all of you guys probably already have it on, by the way. It's automatically applied to everyone's account.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone already has it on anyway, so I had to turn it off.
Interesting. I mean, well, Quick makes a good point. Bring back teabagging. You
that does solve it. That does solve it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start crouching non-stop. You know, you can't really stop that. I mean, it's a weird one. I guess it does, like, I do get cringed out when, like, the 10-year-old in creative starts spamming, like, gritty on me, you know, because he thinks he's the GOAT. But at the same time, it was just one of those things. I just thought it was pretty funny. That it was like, yes, like, this is, you know, everyone's waiting for the update. What's changed? You know, what's new? Are we revolutionizing the game? And they're like, yeah, man, we're getting rid of some emotes. I guess, like, at what point, though, does an emote now count as like a confrontational one? Because obviously there's the ones that are the most obvious, like the take the L and, you know, the laugh, right? But I feel like almost any emote is just toxic when you use it after you've killed someone, you know?
The context of using it. I think, like, can I use an example? I remember ages ago, there was one gay player, right? The one openly gay Fortnite player from a couple of years ago. It's a bit out of the blue, this example. And people would always kill them and then just spam horrendous emotes. And that never had anything done with it. Do you know what I mean? And that's probably more impactful than a take the L emote. But obviously that's a very niche example. So maybe there should be an option to just not see emotes, right? If that actually does bother you, rather than just select few. Because now maybe all these take the L people are going to move on to something else.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, it doesn't make sense to just remove 4. As you said, the action of someone emoting when you kill them is still annoying no matter what the emote is, right? Yeah. It can be them, you know, throwing a tomato. It can be them throwing up some form of thing. It's still just going to be as annoying. It doesn't get rid of that. But for your example, DJ, it's the exact same thing. That's correct. It's like you should just be able to remove emotes. If you don't want someone to be able to take, you know, use emotes on you, you should be able to disable it. Disabling 4 different emotes isn't going to change anything. It doesn't really do anything. The only one that's good is the laughing one. That is the one, actually, yeah. That one is the most annoying emote by far. Yeah. So that one getting removed, I have no problem with. But the rest, you know, is like, as you said, you should just be able to have an option to remove them all. It solves everything, to be honest.
Like if a brother kills me and I just start hearing no, because you're popular, I'm still fuming. Like it doesn't change that it's not the take. Like I'm still pissed in it. So Yeah, nah. I think like having the options to just not see emotes, I guess, would make sense. Then you get the people that go, well, what's the point of me having to take that off? I can't spell like this is the purpose of it. Like, do you know what I mean? It took you 4 years to come to, well, it's longer than 4 years. It took you 6 years to come to the conclusion that the takedown was confrontational, mate. Come on, man, do me a favor. It's been that way since day one. But,
do you think it's the effort of Fortnite trying to become more you know how they're now like doing all the Lego stuff in the pop concerts or whatever? They're obviously trying to make it like as open as possible, right? Where you can literally just whack a toddler in front of it or something, right? Do you think it's in that sort of aspect where they're trying to make it way more open and accessible to people?
I guess.
So
I guess,
yeah.
I was going to say
the main reason.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if you've seen stuff about it, about when Donald Mustard left. They've been talking, like all the leakers have been talking about it now on Twitter. That his last season he actually worked on was like Chapter 3, Season 3, all the way back then. And it feels like every change since then has been Fortnite trying to just generalize the game, make it more generic and not just be Fortnite Battle Royale. It's been, as you said, the Lego, the concert things, rocket racing, just trying to make it more of a platform than just, a Fortnite game. And yeah, so being able to remove, well, some of the emotes, should be all of the emotes, as you said, yeah, probably would allow younger kids to be able to play it if they just want to play Lego, or if they just want to, play the concert mode or something in creative or whatever. It seems like they're going down that path of trying to just make it more of a platform than the game in general.
That's why he left as well. I think I saw someone on Twitter like saying that people think that he just left because he's like retiring. He's just like, he's had enough. But I think he just like didn't like the way the game was going. So yeah, the whole emote thing is funny. Unless they're going to make it so that you can disable all or disable like a certain type of emote, or just like have a list of emotes, right? What do I want to see? What do I not want to see? They can never please everyone. So it's like, I don't really get the change, but it's happened. So it's the way it is.
So when you because I've not actually seen it like it tested. So if somebody does one of these banned emotes or whatever, when you have the setting on, what do you see? Do you see anything at all, or is it just like their character's normal?
The players stood still.
Just as okay, I was gonna say, because I thought it'd be worse. I was scared they were gonna make it so you see like just like another random emote, and I was like, well, now you're just gonna know someone's taking the L on you, even if they're not, because it's like you'll just always just assume, But okay, it's good. At least you don't really see anything.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Overwatch, actually. I was playing Overwatch. We'll speaking about another game, sorry. But I was actually playing Overwatch the other day. And if you put GG easy in the chat, it changes the words to like, oh, great game. I really enjoy that. Like, I can imagine Fortnite doing something like that. Low key, I think they're going to do that and change it to like a thumbs up emote or something. It's like, I just think it's quite a cool way to sort of combat toxicity in Overwatch's sense, where it's, you're trying to change people's words. But I mean, I don't know.
Like if I see that in the chat now,
what I say.
I know somebody was trying to take the piss, and that would actually trigger me way more if you've just been shit on and I say, "Great game, guys, well played." Like, come on, man. Like, I'm like, let's get serious.
I mean, they're adding proximity chat to creative as well, so I don't know how they're going to solve toxicity in that. Like, what are they going? I don't think. I think that's a bigger problem than a couple of emotes, but. I don't know. It's just a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they have like, because I remember they added a while ago the whole like voice reporting system, right? So I guess they're probably gonna have to hire some more temps to siphon through all the nonsense that gets put in there when prox chat is available. And even with that, like, I wonder how that's gonna work, because from what I understand of it, and maybe I'm wrong, one of you maybe knows, is like if you're like swearing or anything, like you can get got basically from that, right? But it's like, I think it's like you're not, if you're obviously attacking someone, then yeah. But do they like listen to it on an individual basis? Because like, what happens if we're playing prox chat and it's like a horror game and I'm like, oh fuck, and then now someone just reports me just to be a prick, and like, am I like done for that? Do you know what I mean? Or like, how does that work? Like, is it?
Well, you can't get banned for swearing, can you?
I don't think you get banned, but I think they just like they disable your voice chat or something. Like, I think you can be banned in voice chat. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but that's how I thought it worked.
I don't know. There is a setting in game which people have been talking. You know how people have been randomly getting kicked from games and tournaments? There is a setting which is something similar, where if you like someone's swearing or something, it will kick you out the game. And apparently that's been happening to a couple of people in games, in like actual tournaments and stuff like that. There's something similar. So I assume that'll be something that happens in creative, where if someone else is swearing or you're swearing, or if you have the setting on, you'll get kicked or the other person will get kicked. So
But again, that just turns into like I had this thing on like when I played FIFA a lot. On Xbox, you can bait people. So on Xbox, if somebody in your messages like swears and you report them, they'll get banned. Or at least they'll get like, you know, some form of timeout or whatever from like Xbox services or whatever. And so like you like message someone after you've beaten them and you like sort of bait them. You don't swear. That's the key. You don't swear, but you just sort of bait them and be like, ah, mate, you are so rubbish. And then like eventually at one point they just be like, you know, fuck you. He's gone. Report him. And it's so funny because an Epic, because Microsoft will then tell you like, oh, the person you reported was banned. And then you're like, yes, I got another one. And I'm sure that will happen in Fortnite. Like people will just bait people into like, you know, doing.
They have to automate it because then there's gonna be too many reports if they don't automate it, and then we're gonna have so many false bans.
It'll be some AI thing doing it or something, probably, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the way that gaming is? I don't know if you guys saw Arab, right? After being a little bit off topic, right? But after being freed from, I don't even know, you know, Haiti or whatever's going on.
Yeah, Haiti.
Haiti, yeah. He's gone a bit off the ropes, and he's now talking about how gaming's turned into this like woke.
Arab off the ropes.
Yeah, yeah, not very off brand for him, right?
I'd never believe it.
But yeah, he's mentioned like, you know, it's sort of similar to what's going on now, right? In Fortnite, it's just you can't even emote on somebody. That would have been like deemed toxic, and especially all this voice chat stuff we're talking about. What's your guys' opinion on that? And it's a little bit off topic, but
well,
I mean,
yes, that is just the way everything's going. Like, you know, you said earlier, it's like everybody, I think, is trying to make the place more open and accessible to people. So there are just more limits now on things you can say in an attempt to make it, you know, feel like a much safer space. You know, that's just the reality. I'll still say this as somebody who has been gaming, you know, all my life and is black. I don't think I've gone a day, not on Fortnite actually, to be fair, because Fortnite I have voice chat off, so I don't talk. When I play like other games, I don't think I've gone a day for like 10 years without experiencing like some form of racism. So yeah, there's been attempts, like there will be attempts, and people will do things to make it, you know, more open and better and safer space or whatever. But like that's just always still gonna come through. Like it's again, it's like the way like things evolve. Like, you know, you see it now where it's like, you know, people will find alternative ways of just saying and implying the things they mean, you know. So like, what do you just constantly filter and cycle everything? It's like now, I think I messaged my friend on TikTok the other day saying well, and it didn't let me send it. I was like, what? Like, why wouldn't it let me send well? Yeah. But it's because again, there's been like the whole thing recently. There was like the whole thing on TikTok recently where like people would just see like, you know, somebody do something and then they'd say well because it's like a racial stereotype that those people do that thing, right? So it's like now it's like you're constantly adding to filters nonsense. It's just it's like anti-cheat. It's always going to be behind, you know. It's always going to like be playing catch up. But yeah, that's sort of what I think of it.
Yeah, Reese brings up a good point.
What do Reese say?
Only reason you can't spam slurs, which is kind of, you know, what it's doing. It's basically he was just saying, "Oh, gaming got, you know, woke, whatever," and you can't say slurs, which is a bit of a weird hill to die on, to be honest.
Yeah.
Zero changes toxicity if they're anonymous, right? So, not really too much you can do.
No, unless you make people like put in their like ID or something when they make an account on something, when then you can actually make legal action towards someone when they're racist or, you know, something along those lines. There's not, but half of the enjoyment for a lot of people is escaping, you know, real life and going and playing games, not having to, you know, do that. But I think that would be one way you could solve it is, you know, having an ID, something like that, or having to, you know, put in your actual like details. It's a bit far, but like
let's get a bit 1984. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of
people
people
play hop on some zone wars, and you have to enter your government ID.
I have seen a lot of people say stuff like that, and yeah, there's just like there's the clear and obvious like problems that come with that, but also I'm sure there's benefits, whatever. But I don't know how we ended here from emotes, but. I do often like the first topic of the pod to just be like full waffle, something that we can just like waffle about for ages, to be fair. So goal accomplished, really. So, any more thoughts on the emotes though before we We pivot.
Not really. I think we said it all. Really, that it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. I think it's a good change, but it's like a bit of a slippery slope, right?
They make that change, and now they've got to change everything else that people find toxic.
Yeah.
You know, if people find a certain emote toxic, now they got to ban that, and it just becomes more about what Epic decide to do rather than what the people are actually doing. So I mean, we'll see.
All right. Well, I did want to jump in something before we start covering FNCS. I don't know if any of you guys saw, but ESL released another map. They released another map. They dropped the hardpoint map. Unfortunately, because of like a creative bug, like the capture the flag map's been like fucked the past couple of days. But the hardpoint map got released. Has many of you guys jumped in? Anybody played it? And what's everyone's thoughts on ESL sort of a week later? I know, like, you know, Harry, we had the conversation about it on the pod last week. Yeah. But how's everyone sort of feeling about it? Because I had some new thoughts that I wanted to jump into.
I mean, I haven't played it yet, but my feelings from last week are kind of the same as this week. That it's nice to have more competition. My worries are still the same, which is obviously cheaters. You know, when you have, you know, creative tournaments, you have anything like this, there's problems in, you know, the zone war scene anyway with cheaters, you know, making a lot of money off other people, right? And when you have these ESL tournaments, it's really hard. Well, creative tournaments, it's really hard to ban people, because all that will happen is you ban someone, and all they'll do is go make another account for the next week, and they'll just play again, right? It's not like you're banning their, you know, they can just make a new FNtasia account, they can make a new Epic account, and because you don't need any form of levels, it doesn't really matter. So I still think that's my biggest issue with it. But more competition, I see there's no harm in that, at least, because, you know, for this weekend at least, now we don't have FNCS. There's going to be a lot of people playing it. There's going to be a lot of people streaming it. It's actually going to be a lot more fun to watch than, for example, Zero Build. I think DJ, you tweeted about it where you said ESL is better than Zero Build. I do agree because Zero Build is so boring.
Zero Build is the most boring version of Fortnite, I think. It's basically just Fortnite for people who shit at Fortnite. No offense to anybody in the but the people who do good in Zero Build are normally just pros at build, or they're like passion merchants playing bunkers and stuff. So, and also any Zero, if you guys ever watched a Zero Build LAN, right? Like actually watched, you know, a DreamHack or something.
That's so boring.
They're so boring. Oh my! I played in one of the DreamHack. I played on my friend's PC, right? It's in mine, and I was so bored playing it. I was playing this random like content creator who just turned up without duo, and it was the most boring thing ever. However, the ESL stuff, I did play some Pro 8s. Immediately got rinsed 20 cookies by another pro, of course. Not my best day at work. And I think it's a lot better than Zero Build. It's actually engaging. It feels like closer. I think it's a lot better to watch. I can't wait to watch like some good org 4v4s and some actual good team scope gets, especially with personalities, right? Because the one thing with Fortnite, it's always lacked some sort of pro and their org, you know, personality storytelling. That's the one thing in the broadcast that you guys always talk about, right? It's trying to get that storyline over. But I think with the 4v4 ESL, it could work. I'm not super sure on capture flag. It did feel a little bit like, you know. But it's definitely something. And also the good thing with it is pros are really good at it, just from playing it, right? Like somebody like Veno, you know, he's obviously insane at building, but he's insane at that. Like he's genuinely unbelievably good. So there's definitely a massive skill cap with it. Like you will just always lose an Angel to a good pro. And I think that compared to Zero Build, like you can just die in a Zero Build because the kid just shockwaves you out of your bunker and you're just screwed, you know? There is a lot more skill to it. And I can't wait to see it actually play out over the coming few months, you know?
It's good. I think it's it'll be nice to watch. I think there's a bit more strategy involved in that than Zero Build. Like whenever I'm watching Zero Build or even playing Zero Build, it's just like, you know, there's a lot of RNG involved. There's not too many storylines, and it's a lot of just the same thing. There's not different strategies that you can employ. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and it's like, I suppose the comparison between Build and Zero Build as well. But yeah, for that, it's going to be really good. There's two concerns I have with it personally. I think I was looking at the rewards for it for like the weekly finals. And I don't know if you guys have seen, like it's on the FACEIT website and you get FACEIT points or FACEIT coins or whatever it's called, right? Yeah. So it's not actually like money. You have to qualify to the weekly finals. You have to play all these qualifiers against different teams. If you get first place, you get the equivalent of a third of a t-shirt. So you can buy.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, so you get first place out of all these teams, and you get like 1,000 faceit points, whatever, and it's like 3,000 faceit points for a t-shirt, or the numbers will change. So that's a concern for me at the moment. I think to get players in, you have to get some decent rewards, whether it's like cumulative rewards to build up to a big LAN or something. That'll be good. But yeah, rewards have to be improved, I think. And the second thing is that, as you mentioned, Lemon, it's creative. It's a creative event. And it's a creative built thing, UEFN. So when something breaks, the map breaks. Like, it's completely gone. So all Epic have to do is break something in UEFN. Like, I know at the moment there's like loads of maps that are bugged, like loads of 1v1 maps are bugged. There's loads of like Forever Zone Wars is bugged. Just like when they make that change, when Epic make an adjustment and it breaks the map, then no competitions can happen. It's all bugged. Like it's completely gone. So that's a concern for me. And I think that's more of a UEFN concern as opposed to a just that map, of course.
A couple of people are saying that they have changed the prize pool to a bit more of a real prize pool for this.
Yeah, this prize pool.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good. But when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So where I'm at with it a week later, from what I said, most of the things I think I said last week still sort of stand. So if you want to know what I said, go check out the last week's episode of FNtasia. But where I'm at with it now, so this past week I've seen like a lot of the sort of like almost roster mania type stuff happening, where like a bunch of pros are assembling teams. I've seen a bunch of pros actually scrimming and playing in 4v4, and so I've watched a couple of the sessions. I wouldn't say I was out of my seat with excitement of how it was, especially with Capture the Flag. I think a lot of it was just because, again, there was just like a very big lack of like strategy or pros actually doing anything, just sort of running about. But seeing people trying to find combinations of teams and squads and everything, like I've actually found that really exciting. The past couple of days, just from like certain players I've spoken to and seeing what they've been cooking up and seeing, even when you're hearing things of, oh yeah, he tried with them, and oh, he's playing with them, and oh yeah, he's playing with that team, but they're not letting him play sniper, they're making him play SMG instead, or this, like that aspect of it is something that I always really liked about squads back in the day. And it was something that like obviously we've just missed because of duos. And so I've actually been quite hyped for that, and it's made me more excited. And I think seeing how like bought in the players are, obviously the players are very bought in because they understand the financial implications of it come time for esports World Cup, and even long term in the future, right? I've heard rumors that certain orgs aren't just picking up players for the event now, they're picking up players even a bit longer term, right? Because again, this is something that clearly is being invested into. So I think it's definitely an exciting time. I think there is serious hope that for me at least right now, that this could one day be something that is taken a bit more seriously as like something that runs alongside, the FNTS as being the main thing. And then you have this on the side, which people do get excited for. Again, they still need to work out some kinks with viewing experience, the actual modes themselves. But I've just had a lot of fun just seeing how the pros have bought into it. And I think if they're buying into it, then like that excitement can trickle down and we can hopefully get more people excited.
Yeah, my biggest problem still is how many people are actually going to play it, right? So last week I went through the actual player count for each tournament. I'll do the same this week, and you can see, right? So we've got NA, there's 20 people. Yeah, 20 people on EU. There's 4 out of 128 teams on NA who have signed up, and that's an $1,000 tournament, right? 4 teams. And then LATAM, there's 9 teams. Then Middle East, there's 5. Asia, there's none. And then OC, there's 3, right? So there's still the big problem of actually getting people into playing, right? And maybe it'll build up over time, right? Maybe, once they see 1 week, you see a favorite streamer play it, you're like, oh, maybe I'll join in as well. But I still think that's the biggest issue they're going to have to overcome, is how do you get people wanting to play it without just chucking as much money at it as possible, right? And maybe that is a solution. You can just have weekly tournaments constantly doing it, right? But at some point, you've got to see some form of return on your investment. If people are only playing because of the tournaments and they actually don't find the maps good and they don't actually want to play them long term, then I just don't see how this can work as a long-term plan, right? Maybe the hardpoint map's better. I haven't seen it. I actually haven't seen the hardpoint map. I don't know if it's good or not.
Apparently it's better than the Capture the Flag.
I'd assume so. And, the shrinking zones one they're releasing in the future is probably better than that as well, right? But my biggest issue, if you're making, as I said, just those 3 maps and we're making more and more and more, all you're going to do is split the player base between them all, and you're not going to have a consistent mode people are going to play, right? So I just think that's my biggest issue, is that participation is just looking very, very low right now, and it doesn't feel like anyone's actually wanting to play it. and only the pros really want to play it.
I think Brink in the chat made a good point.
Yeah.
They still haven't officially said that this is like what's happening at the Esports World Cup. The players I've been speaking to are assuming it is, and I don't know if the players have been informed that it is. You know, so in the past, players have been cooked up with wrong information. Remember, everyone thought this year was going to be trios, or was it last year? Everyone thought it was going to be trios, right? So sometimes the players do get things wrong, but a lot of the players are just assuming that it is. But yeah, I definitely think them actually officially announcing and saying, hey, by the way, this, you know, multi-million tournament or whatever it's happening is going to be based off of this mode. I think most people are just assuming it is, right? Like, I think it's probably safe to assume it is, but yeah, they haven't officially announced that, which
also
sure
I think the one issue with it is it's a little bit barrier to entry too high, like quite a lot too high, right? Compared to just queuing up like a duo cash cup with your mate or a solo cash cup on your own. You have to get 3 other people who A, know what they're doing, B, want to care enough, and then C, also maybe practice a little bit to have even a chance, right, of doing well. And that's probably what we're seeing at the moment. I don't know. I really hope this weekend goes well. I think the EU and the NA one will be decent to just watch and see what's going on. You know, maybe we get some good streams and stuff from that. I'd like if more people stream the actual gameplay of it, but they might be worried about giving away strats or something. I don't know. But pros streaming the tournament, I think, would be really good, especially if there's some bigger pros streaming it, you know, like the big names on the EU and NA. And then get people interested in it. And I think it'd just be a good test, because if this weekend is just a stinker, I don't know, it might be Raps, because I don't know how they're going to get interest until they announce a massive prize pool. And even then, there's still big barrier to entry with trying to get 3 of your mates to play.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, if you could add like for something for solos to like maybe find a teammate, because you're thinking of like random Timmy who's just only plays FNCS, doesn't really do like sit there scrolling through Twitter looking for people to tweet out a link that you go to, you sign up. You know, if there was a way which was easier, or even if you know you find the link and you know there's somewhere where you can be like looking for group here, and that would make it a lot easier. But as you said, like how hard is it for people to find duos at this stage, right? So many people struggle to find duos, and that's in Fortnite, in FNCS, where people are, you know, it's way easier to find it throughout Discord servers or anywhere really. And it feels like on this, it's going to be impossible for a majority of players to find a squad to play with.
I want to get into that a bit more, because this is always something I've always had conversations with people about, and I find it a bit perplexing because I came from CS, right? In CS, if you're going to play organized CS, you need a team of 5, and I never once recall a point where I was like, oh, I can't find, like, I wanted to play someone and I was like, I can't find a 5. Like, why is it that we've always had this thing in Fortnite where it's like so difficult? Because it's a genuine thing. Like, it's true. Like, I see people say all the time, I can't find a duo, I can't find a trio. People be like, oh yeah, I didn't really like squads, I couldn't find a squad. Why do people find it so hard? I feel like this. Am I missing?
Yeah, I was going to say.
But
there's no
like,
face it where you can just look for people you're scoring. There's also there's
ranked. No ranked.
Yeah.
No ranked.
You can't play field. You can't play field ranked. Find a guy and go, he's crazy, I want to play FNCS with him. You're just going to play solo ranked, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, you know, it's one of those things, as you said. It's like that's why Fortnite struggles. Is our ranked mode sucks so much compared to any other ranked mode in any game.
So funny.
It's just like. No one can find teammates. You have to go to Discord servers. You have to go to Twitter. You have to play. I don't know. You those are your own real. You know, it's like a Fortnite tracker looking for duo system, which is awful. And it's like there's
what's wrong with that system? Because I've never looked into it, but that's typically the kind of systems like most other games use, right? It's like you have a system like that. Obviously, yes, in other games you can like find people from ranked. That's like I feel like that is common, but also rare in the sense of like typically, like there's always like one guy on a team where they're like, yeah, we found this guy in ranked, right? You know, there's always like that one guy on the team that's just cracked. You're like, yeah, we found him in ranked. But like still, you get like
that's
other
what you
people.
need. That's what you need though. It's like in duos, you just need to find one guy in a duo ranked game, and there you go. You've got a duo for FNCS. So I think that like that's the biggest thing. I think if ranked, as I said, was competitive, and there's so many. I feel like there's so many ways you can go about it to make it more competitive. I feel like we'd have so much more, first of all, so much more competition in Fortnite in general, because people wouldn't be like, oh, I can't play this eval cup or duo cash cup, I can't find a teammate. And then secondly, I feel like we would, as you said, for that, it would just be, you know, it would just make everything make so much more sense to have it, right? it would just make it so we could actually have people for streamers, you know, going for rank 1 in ranked. That's a great thing for the game as well. You know, think about every other game where you have people going for rank 1 or going for the highest rank, and there's actually a challenge. And you compare it to Fortnite, and it's just like, well, I made Unreal. I didn't really have to do anything. Like Laser and Laserbeam and Bushcamp Dad made it without moving. Obviously, they've changed that now, but the fact you can make the highest rank in Fortnite without doing anything screams volumes about what our ranked mode is.
So Ryu in the chat made a good point of it's all PR hunters. They want unrealistic PRs from their duos.
Yep.
I low-key think the PR system does negatively affect that. And I think in general, and maybe people disagree with, I think in general, Fortnite isn't actually as sociable. Like Fortnite is always seen as a sociable platform, but it's actually not as sociable for some of those reasons. And I think there's not enough infrastructure there to be sociable, like you guys are saying, right? Like there's not a good rank system where you can find people of similar skill very easily, or there's not these things. You know, there's not these websites people have created, these LFT websites that are like really good and are actually like a hub that people use. My thing is that I remember, and I don't know, I wonder if any of you guys have ever done this in your Fortnite lives. I remember in CS, there'd be times when you get shit on by another guy on the other team, so you reach out to him to try out.
Yeah.
Have you ever been shit on by someone in any Fortnite mode and actually just reach out to that person and be like, yo, like, do you want to play sometime? Like,
yeah.
No, you just feel you just feel unlucky. You feel like he got lucky. You feel like he just got a lucky shot, or a build didn't place, or he phased through or whatever. You don't sit there and go, well, he actually shot on me there, to be fair. It's a completely different thing. But you're right. Every other game, if someone's crazy and you're like, I want to play with him, you're going to message him. But in Fortnite, it feels like an ego thing to message someone and go, yo, you're crazy. I want to play with you. The guy's just going to, first of all, probably not even play, and the second, or he's going to tell you to fuck off, probably. So I don't know. But I mean, yeah, as you said, Fortnite isn't sociable in the slightest. Like it just.
That's why they have a lot of things trying to. They do tournaments where you just like fill the duo and stuff.
Yeah.
Where they're just trying to get people to not be as lonely when they're playing. So it probably helps.
Really?
Yeah, they have fill cups. They have fill cups.
Yeah, that's fill cups.
The rank cups as well.
I might start playing these, man. Maybe you can find some hidden.
That is your level, to be fair, Levin. I think that's the way you're gonna fit right in.
Solo cash cup's not your thing.
Yeah.
No, I think it's hard for Fortnite as well, because like our only measure of someone's skill realistically is placements and PR, and the PR system is okay, but as Rai said in the chat, like a lot of people are expecting that expectation of someone with really good PR. And I'm thinking about like Val, and I'm looking at like Valorant Tracker. They have like all these, you know, headshot percentages, most played agent, best maps that they play on, like all these different stats and all these different things that you can use to back up a reason why you should have someone in your team. There's none of that in Fortnite. We don't have like a whole stats backed sort of evidence of why someone's a good player. And then back to your point about trying to find a squad, it's like, you don't, or a trio, you don't have like, oh, this person's a really good, for example, like a really good Reina on Valorant or something. Like you have those like predetermined roles. You don't have that as much in Fortnite, although we have, you know, like IGL, Fragger support, all that sort of stuff. It's very much a lot more vague than that. So yeah, I think having someone to be like, right, okay, we need an IGL. There's so many different options. There's so many different people that can fill that role. It's like you haven't got like the obvious options. So yeah, the social side of things is difficult, but just the whole, like, you know, understanding of how good someone's actually going to be, because someone could just got boosted by their, you know, their PR or whatever, got carried, and then next thing you know, you play with them and they're trash. So
and the problem as well is that if you did find someone that you thought, oh, I'd like to try out with that person, like, where do you do it outside of an actual tournament? Then you're locked in for the so now if they're just a nightmare to play with, you're just locked in, or at least now you got to find someone else last minute. But like, you can't even go somewhere to like practice really with
zonal scrims. That's about it. Zonal scrims where you have to wait till 5th zone to be able to shoot someone. It's just like,
you play a duo ranked and there's a kid air bending away from you and just whizzing across. Or he hops in a rocket racing car and just disengages every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But bringing it back to the ESL, which is kind of what we started with this, right? Is there's not really set roles at the moment because nobody's really playing it. You can't like fill the map, right? You have to get 4 people to play it to begin with, and also with CS, right? We're talking about, you know, how easy it is to find. That's got like 20 years of like a system being built up, you know, of finding teammates and things like that. And Fortnite is a long way off, especially because it's launched like 2 weeks ago, right? Obviously, you can't expect, but I think for now, these tournaments are just going to be dominated by like a friend group or two that just play it the whole time, right? Like the Danish people are all over it, you know. I think they're just going to win this week and probably the next few ones just because they have the most practice on it. So until we see that proper org step in, I know there's a lot of what are the rumored orgs? Somebody mentioned it. Like all these big.
Well, it's not rumored. There's orgs
No,
that
are
confirmed.
Loud,
and there are more
Zeta,
looking for rosters.
Heretics, Carmine Corp, and Dignitas. Those are the 5.
Yeah. So until they get involved, I think it will just be literally friend groups dominating it because they've got the most practice. Man City as well. Yeah.
So one thing I also say is I've seen a lot of people try comp this to CS. I don't know why people are doing that. You should be comping this to COD.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like trying to look at it, it's like, like this is how people doing Counter-Strike. This is much more like, this reminds me, the actual modes, a lot of these actual modes are just taken straight from COD anyway.
They are. Yeah.
But like a lot of this, in terms of when I've been watching some of the pros play it, it does feel like a lot more like COD, and I don't know why a lot of people aren't looking at it more that way.
It's more like run and gun.
Right. There's a lot more run and gun, you know, in terms of like tactics and strategy. Like a lot of the stuff I remember from like watching like old MLG scrims from like Nade Shot back in like Black Ops 2 is like similar-ish shit that, you know, people should be at least trying in this stuff, right? So that is one thing as well. I do think, yeah, it's going to mostly be, there's been certain pros I know who have just been playing it like non-stop every opportunity. You can see it on Twitter a lot of time. They're like, yeah, let's play. Phil, anyone Phil, you know, ESO, anyone Phil? So like, these are the guys that'll do really good. There's been a lot of pros who again, it's almost like they're just not that aware of what's actually going on and the speed and the pace of it. That's another thing that, again, if we're getting into the whole ESL thing, assuming it is going to become the mode for Esports World Cup or whatever, time's ticking. It's going to be July soon. Like, you're going to have to start doing, like, if we're going to do like a good qualifier, because you can do any old qualifier, but if we're going to have like a good qualifier for this big Esports World Cup thing that we're making a big deal of, we're going to have to start having like a qualifier start soon if it's going to be a good qualifier at least. So yeah, they definitely need to get a move on with this stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say quickly, like about on that point, it's like, when do you host the qualifiers? You know, FNCS is in June. It begin middle of June, and you get like you either have to host it right at the start of the new season, which, you know, I mean, that's the best time. But surely you have to make some form of announcement within the next few weeks so that people have like a month to prepare or something like that. Because if you announce it a week before, it's going to be shit. It's just going to be shit. No one's going to really know about it. Like you could maybe you couldn't even do it in the gap in between the bye weeks, because that's when you'd hope the esports. Well, that's probably when the Esports World Cup is, right? So it's like there isn't really a time for them to do it. So,
well, BloodX has just said in chat it's end of May at DreamHack Dallas. That might be the leak of death. If that is FNtasia exclusive, if you want to qualify for the Esports World Cup, you can head to Dallas. But even that in itself is like, well, hold on a minute. That's very last minute that people. So what? Now you got
always like that.
To go to Dallas.
But also going to Dallas is like that cuts off the whole thing. I thought would be like you have your own region qualifiers that gives you a certain amount of slots, which qualifies you to the world. You know, the World Championships, right? Instead of Esports World Cup, instead of everyone, basically it's going to be a full NA lobby, apart from a couple of pros who are going to fly out. You know, it's just going to be 90% NA, which then defeats the whole purpose of creating this whole new thing, which you can play online and weekly tournaments and getting people hyped just to chuck it in a LAN, in one LAN. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, plus, how difficult is it to get into these tournaments? Because what I'm looking at for the average Fortnite player, it's not easy, is it? Like, people struggle to get like Unite working with like Discord and all that sort of stuff. How are people actually going to get in? And I think that could be a reason for the lack of player counts that you were saying earlier, Harry. Like, it's not that easy to get into it. Again, it's not that easy to find teammates, but just actually playing it, understanding when these tournaments are actually going to be. I didn't even know when these tournaments were running, like the open online quals, because it just hasn't been marketed. Like, it's not. The barrier to entry is not even just like the team; it's also just like genuinely getting into the tournament.
Yeah. Also, organizing 4 people to go to Dallas. When is it? End of May. So next month.
You've got a month. You've got a month.
So you got a month to book. What, flights are okay each, right? You got to pay for Airbnb, travel, just to qualify for some LAN. And also, if I'm being honest, probably most of the org teams that they're going to pick up, it's just going to be it's just going to be a free agent team, right? It's just going to be a bunch of pros who are, you know, not signed already, and they're just going to get signed by that org and they've already qualified. I think that's how it's going to work.
But that makes sense though.
Like, we've got a very short timeline, and also the orgs are just going to be signing people for like month contracts like they did last time. It's not really going to like revitalize orgs and comp, is it? It's just going to be
Or there'll be a lot of orgs that do that. The problem as well is that again, it's on such short notice that there's a lot of players who are already signed to org. So there's a lot of good players that what happens then if that org can't work out an agreement? Now we might have one of the best players, you know, in the world who just can't really compete because they're locked in with their org and their org can't pick up a roster because it's only really going to be these super big rich orgs because they're competing for the club money. So they got teams in other games. Like I don't know much about. I don't know much about Agents operations as an org, but I don't know if Agents going to be picking up a team for League, Dota, they're not realistically, right? Like, I don't know much, but I'm going to make the safe assumption that they're not picking up all these other games. So now what happens with all the Agent players, right? Like, do they have to work out something, but now it's all last minute. There's just too much technicalities going on that I think could be roadblocks, which is why, like, again, if this thing's going to work, they're going to have to get a lot of this stuff sorted out. You know, but fairly soon.
One thing, at least it's not zero build. I think we can all appreciate at least it's not a fucking zero build land. That's just.
They could have done like Zone Wars. They could have done Zone Wars. They could have like anything like that is more interesting than watching. ESL is better. Like ESL is better than zero build, but it's not hard to be better than zero build, to be honest. And what I was thinking as well is like, let's say for example you're an org and you've got an ESL roster and they're doing actually pretty bad in ESL, but one of your players is doing really bad in the ESL mode, but he's crazy good in comp. You know, say for example, I don't know, let me think of a random player. Like let's say Thomas became a free agent. He's probably obviously gonna be good, but let's say he was really bad in the ESL mode, but he was really good in comp. Are you going to drop a player from your org because they're bad in the ESL modes? Like, but where do the Like, what's priority for these orgs now? Is it they're going to care more about these ESL and the Esports World Cup and, well, if anything comes afterwards, or are they going to care more about competitive? It just, I don't know. It's so last minute, it feels, that there's so many question marks around, as you said, Dallas, orgs. Well, not Dallas, like the qualifiers, World Cup, orgs, the players, as you said, most players being on orgs that already not being able to compete. It just, there's so many problems with it. And also, like, if it's going to be at the Esports World Cup, I think we had this problem last time. It's like, why don't Fortnite market it? Why don't Fortnite tweet about it? Why don't Fortnite do anything about it? Like, I feel like if they're going to have their game at the Esports World Cup, which is meant to be like the biggest thing for esports, why don't they market it themselves?
They don't support the Saudi stuff, no? From what I remember, they didn't. They never promoted the previous Saudi. Or
No, but that's
stuff, did they?
No, they didn't. But that's like the thing. It's a weird thing. It's like they're not promoting it. Because like in League of Legends, they made a whole tweet about it that, you know, it's going to be, there's not open qualifiers, but it's going to be there. This is what they're going to have, that sort of stuff, right? And then Fortnite, the Fortnite Classic we talked about last week, they stay quiet and just let it happen.
Well, I think in general, the theme has been bad marketing, because BloodX has actually sent me a screenshot from like a Google search where it actually is public knowledge. It's on the DreamHack website that the Fortnite Esports World Cup qualifiers is going to be at DreamHack Dallas 2024.
Actually,
I've not seen anyone or nothing.
No
so unless BloodX is the goat of Photoshop and he's just whipped that up in 5 minutes.
No, it's there. Oh wait,
the page isn't live though.
The page isn't live, but it says like if
it is there.
The page URL was there. It's just hidden. Right.
So it's gone now. Evo, again, let's just get everything out clear so that everyone knows what's going on, and we can all, you know, try get excited for this and try play this, because this is it's quickly turning into a mess. It is quickly turning.
Wait, when is the date for Dallas? It is May 31st to 2nd of June. So
End of
2
May.
weeks. Two weeks before FNCS.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's ESL update for this week. Let's see what happens with it. I'm sure we'll be talking about it much more over the next month or so as we get closer to the Esports World Cup. Enough waffle now. We're about 50 minutes in. Let's get into FNCSA. Let's get into it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Before we actually get into it, we do have some FNCS competitors here, and I hope they don't think I've forgotten them. Because I know we have some FNCS competitors in this pool right now.
I didn't play Move On for me. It's no point talking about me. Move on to one of I might as well have. No, I did play, but we just move on. We'll just move on.
What happened, bro? Come on, let's talk about this, Harry. What happens?
Let's just say it wasn't my best performance. I don't know. It feels like there's so much competitive rust from not playing at all. I feel so useless in every endgame. I actually feel like I have no idea what's going on in every. Not an endgame, no.
What are you doing then? You just
nothing, basically nothing. Aiden was IGL fragging, tarping, like he's doing everything. I'm just a spectator. I'm his POV.
How much did you pay ADN to play?
He asked me. I didn't pay him. He asked me.
Wow.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, it's fun. I want to play more, and I'm definitely down to play more. I literally got one more point than I got last week, so like 2.
That's progress.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, just another 40 tournaments and I'll qualify.
I
do remember just before the cup, you did some resub slander about week 1. Resub was dead. Resub didn't play a single move in zone.
He
right?
did. That's not slander. That's facts.
I started us 1 point off Qual, and you were slandering him, and then we managed to qual the next week. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, because he stopped dying in endgame.
Yeah, he actually played all right for once.
You guys made round 2, right?
Yeah.
How
We're not going to talk about round 2.
No. Let's talk
about round 2.
Let's talk about round 2, Destiny.
This is my
the speed run on round 2.
The ugly part of the FNCS, I think, is me and Reese playing round 2. So basically, with round 2, you've got to get Surge, right? Because it's like fairly decent players. However, you've got to get Surge on a bunch of players who like know how to fight and know how to key. So every single mid game, we would just get keyed, and we would build. We wouldn't die getting keyed. We would just build loads of boxes and stuff. But we would just be shambles after that because we killed the team once when they keyed us. It's some like TikTok kid, you know. And also there was a slight issue. I had a bit of elbow pain in my old age, and I asked Resub to frag, which went as well as you predict. He got 1 kill in 10 games.
Oh no!
But it was fun. No, it really wasn't fun. I actually hated it. It was so bad. Like it was horrendous.
So what are you going to do next time?
I was going to do like a what I learned from FNCS, opens of last week to this week. But I didn't learn a single thing.
You learned your shit. You learned your shit at fighting, which you already knew.
I already knew that. But we weren't like dying in fights though. We were just like being scuffed after a fight, like after the team just ran away because we didn't die.
I mean, were you splitting Mount Olympus as well? Because I swear that spot, you cannot fight off spawn. I swear you literally...
It's very bad if you fight spawn, yeah.
Yeah, everyone just splits and runs and you leave with 5 chests. And then it's like, then you're scuffed mid-game, someone fighting you for Surge. So you're actually leaving with, as the Queasy tweet was, grey guns and small fries as your loot going into endgame. It's just, I don't know. That spot is...
Just mid-game was just rough, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like getting keyed and just being shambles after.
Well...
You live and you learn.
Fun. Next FNCS, you guys got it, man.
Yeah,
you guys got it. Well, let's start off with the goods from the FNCS qualifier 2. I'll kick us off because I think there's a clear and obvious one that most people would identify. Pink and Vico back-to-back first places. I mean, again, it's just really good stuff from Pink and Vico. I think the big question now is, are they, some of the favorites to win FNCS now? Do you have them in that conversation? How does everyone feel about their performances over the past 2 qualifier weeks?
They're good. I think, obviously they're really good. Like you watch that. No, I was gonna say, yeah, no, but like the best, yeah, all right. But no, the best thing about them is like their games when they don't have forecast, right? Because last season it seemed like whenever they got scuffed or didn't get forecast, their end games were a lot worse. You watch them play, or their mid games, it was just all a lot more scuffed. Now it feels like whether they get forecast or they don't get forecast, the gameplay is pretty much the exact same. They use the bananas in the exact same to gain advantages, using Storm either for flank height takes or to use it to wrap around when people are all fizzing at the same time. Like I think that's the main thing, that their use of bananas and fizz in endgame to change the timing so they never are getting pumped in the back. They're never just getting jumped on randomly on rotates. It leads to the consistency they have, right? And also another thing which is really good about them is they're not reliant on height. You watch them play and you think about Pink as a player, you think he's just a height player. Like remember when he played with Anas and now with Vico, it's like he's predominantly through height is what he's been known for. And now you watch him play and most of his games go through mid ground, low ground. Obviously there are some games where they fizz onto height and take height, but realistically the biggest change in my eyes, and it's just all about their timings, the way they're rotating using bananas and fizz, it just means their end games are really consistent.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of their games and they were super impressive. I think the main sort of thing from the qualifiers was that ultimately it felt like the qualifiers didn't matter that much, unfortunately.
I don't think anybody really is super moved by it.
In terms of assessing a team's level, it's not like the biggest indicator. I will say I'm still like just quite worried about what Grands looks like for them in a world where they're not conned. because like even when you look at these qualifier games, right? If you just look at the map early game, there is like the biggest dead zone around. I think they might have the biggest amount of like dead space around them of any other team on the map. That just makes me wonder, like, when it comes time for, you know, grand finals, like, what do they do for search? So a couple games I saw where they like they'd like try like lurk into Grand Glacier and stuff, and I'm like, if this is the strat come grand finals, it's just like
it's finished.
Like the games aren't going to be looking as good as they've looked now. I'm sure they'll cook something up, right? Like, or at least I'd hope that they do, because I think they will need to. But yeah, all in all, though, big props to them. I definitely think they deserve now to be in the conversation.
Yeah,
like for like favorites, right? And you know, because EU's been weird for that. Like I still am not like set on who I think is gonna like win FNCS, or like it's all been a bit up in the air like this season, and I feel like with the qualifier format, it's just been weird for that. But I definitely think Pink and Biko probably deserve to be in that type of convo now.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, the only team that's in form, really, I suppose, in EU. There's a couple of teams that are doing good, but I think compared to NA, for example, like, you know, Peter Bot and Poyo, who are just like running that region at the moment, we don't have that on EU. I know you guys spoke about that last week, but yeah, they're the team that are looking the best. I think for me, the biggest concern for me is that the grief factor for them in grand finals. A team could just land on forecast if they're doing really bad. If they're 50th, they just think, right, we're just going to try and get forecast this game. And just try and see what happens. So I'm not concerned too much about that, but that is a problem potentially that they could face compared to someone like Veno and Tayson, like who's going to land on fencing if they're doing bad. So they handled it pretty well last season with Kira and Kiduo. They both ended up doing really good, actually. I think if I remember rightly, they both like got top 5 or top 6 or something. But the games that they didn't do good, like they died like off spawn straight away. So it's like, that's a problem that I think they might face in Grands.
Yeah, about the surge thing, it's like the only lucky thing they have is both Grand Glacier and Reckless are some of the slowest POIs to loot. Like Reckless, if you are going to loot majority of Reckless, like it was a problem Jazz and Flixie had last season. That same dead zone thing, they basically left Reckless too late. Couldn't really go anywhere to get surge if Reckless isn't getting surge within the POI. Yeah. So I think it might not be that big of a problem, but it's not consistent. You know, they do have a bunker, they do have a forecast, which you can, you know, fight over. There will be teams who look to go for it, and they do have POIs they can make plays onto. But as you said, it's not consistent. It's not every game we're going to do this. Every game we can do this, or, you know, majority of the games we can do this, like this position or whatever. It's like, if teams are more prepared for it, as you said, I'd be more worried about their surge, and it could be a huge problem for them.
Well, I think what this qual week showed and what last qual week showed is that they are, again, one of the best fighting teams, right? So when it does come to like fighting for that bunker, like they don't really have too many problems with that, right? Like Pink and Vico are not the type of team you want to get into a mid-game sort of box fight with, right? And so playing into that strength, I think will help them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it sort of translates for Grands. I feel like both of them are probably, I think they're both probably very happy with how they've done and feel confident, but I also feel like they're both probably not getting too big for their boots in that regard. Like they know, I think both of them are very openly know that they are not, you know, this doesn't now mean, yeah, we're just the best in EU. Like we're just wiping Grands. Like, I don't think they've deluded themselves to that level, which I think is important, because if they did like sort of react to their own hype too, you know, one-sidedly, I think it could affect them. I think they'll probably stay level-headed come Grand time. So we'll see how they do. Any other goods this week? Anybody else have any goods? Mini Miner, did you have anything you liked from last couple years?
Moneymaker. I was liking to see Moneymaker doing good after didn't make it out of opens in week 1. Obviously banned on Twitch, then got unbanned, and then just turned into a different beast somehow. What did he win 2 of the performance of Val games in finals? Got second in the other one, I think. And then I think they had like a 30th, but and then quals in week 4 they got like 21st, I think it was. So yeah, that for me is really nice to see. I think that ban definitely kind of loomed over Moneymaker, kind of like put him off a lot. I think mentally that's got to be really difficult. He's only young as well, right? He's what, 14, 15. So that whole surge of success for him with the whole streaming side of things, just for that to get taken away completely. And then not have as much success over on YouTube. I think he streamed for a bit on YouTube. That's got to have knocked his confidence a bit. But for me, that's a really nice thing, and I like to see those guys doing well, because it's just good for the community, right? You know, people like that are streaming. So yeah, I'm liking that team. I think they switched drops as well, right? They're not going to that like south east area, like that tiny terrible spot. So we'll see what they do from their new drop.
Did any of you guys watch Moneymaker and For9? Any thoughts on them?
I didn't watch too much of them. I watched their eval games, which, to be honest, I watched the 2 games they won. The zone, the 50-50 was literally on their landing spot. So I wasn't really moved by what they did. It was literally like they sat there on a hill for 5 zones. They got their surge there, and then they just basically had the most mats in the game and then just take height and win the game. There's not a lot to say about it, really. But no, I think their landing spot is definitely better than last. They're having huge problems with landing spot at the start of the season. They've changed a lot. They were obviously going that base in the bottom right, which they obviously changed from because that was full grief. Any team that landed there got like 40th in finals. It was rubbish for surge. And then they moved to fencing at the start of the season, which was so far from what I think a Moneymaker and For9 spot is. If you think about back to Chapter 4 when they landed the Moneymaker base in like the middle of the map right by Slappy. And it was like fencing completely different. It's like splitting, fighting, like completely scuffed. So they were struggling there. And then they changed the spot now, which is just the summit base just south of Grand Glacier. And it seems like it's a really easy spot for them to play. You know, you've got multiple pads you can use to play around the map when there are no mobility meta, so you have consistent early to mid games. And it doesn't feel like they're really getting contested by a lot of good teams as well. It doesn't feel like Blatcher was one of the best teams who was landing there, but it feels like he's changing landing spot a lot now. So I feel like they're looking pretty good going into lower bracket. And obviously the lower bracket, I would say that format suits them with it being 4 points a kill. I think if you're thinking of a format which is going to suit Moneymaker, getting a messy end game, but like a 8-kill 10th, that's a good game in this format. You're taking that and you're just going next game. It doesn't matter if the games are a bit messy. If you're getting kills, that's all that really matters. So I have high hopes. I think they'll make it to the upper bracket finals one of the times. What they do from there with Surge, if they're not pulling zones, I'm a bit more worried about. But I think, yeah, they're definitely going to qualify through lower bracket with the format.
Okay. In terms of any other goods, did you have anything, DJ, that you thought was
I thought Veno and Taysom were looking a bit better. They've looked pretty, what's the word to use? Shit, right? For a while. But they locked in, they got a top 10 in round 4. Doesn't really mean anything, to be honest, but as long as they're playing a bit better, practicing a little bit more. Veno did have a bit of a stinker in the Solo Cash Cup, similar to your points 11. Which isn't really ideal, but I think he's got pink eye or something. So, but I'm happy they're doing better. Hope they can lock in. I actually think they might win FNCS. That's my bold prediction. They actually might win FNCS.
They're definitely up there. They got their landing spot's really good for this.
I don't think we're not giving you that as a bold prediction. I think Venom and Taysom might win FNCS and then fields.
If you're not chasing placements, it's not that bad. Like it's not that bad.
No, yeah. If you look to how they did last grands, like uncon mythic spot 15th or something.
Yeah, but we're not acting like Grand Glacier was the best spot in the game last.
That spot
was definitely good.
Like, come on,
that spot for finals.
It was not a good spot last Grands either. No. I'm not having this bold prediction. Venom and Taysom, you're right. I agree with you. They did look good in the few games that I watched. But to be fair, the last 5 games they were troll because Venom was watching Real Madrid versus Barcelona anyway. So Taysom, was watching Real Madrid versus Barcelona. I don't think they were taking those games too seriously, which I think we'll get onto in a second. But I think Venom and Taysom are definitely one of the contenders, and I think even my thought was people looked at their last Grands result harshly because even though they weren't good that season, I think overall that season they did stink, definitely 100%. But after day 1, a lot of people were saying that they were going to win the whole thing. They were second, they looked good. Everyone was like, yeah, they're probably just going to win now. So I think a lot of people got allowed that 15th because the 15th does look bad. Especially when you're Venom and Taysom. I think a lot of people at that 15th really, dig into them.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Isn't that Taysom's third 15th in a row?
I was gonna say,
it is. It's his third 15th in a row, if you're including globals. So, yeah. But Venom and Taysom, I definitely think have been a contender. I don't think it's a bold prediction to say you think they're going to win. I think that's a lukewarm take or lukewarm prediction.
Okay, well, the reason I think it's bold is I predicted at the start of the season. Before they swap drops, I was like, is Taysom's due an FNCS win? So I'm sort of seeing that come through slightly. Maybe not all the way there, but I think they're one of the favourites now, I guess. But no, there's no real favourites, is there? So
no. Yeah, EU is up in the air because the teams you expect to do well in finals, like Teacher and Trulex, are not doing amazing in round 4s, but as you said, what does round 4 really show? To be honest, so
No,
it's hard.
not much.
It's hard to really tell what is a good team, like what's a top tier 1 team, and what's just a team who's good in round 4s. Because it could come to him. Vico and Pink could just struggle it with Surge, and they come 30th, and then all their firsts in round 4s mean nothing. So
yeah.
Did you have a good for this week, Harry? Because I had one for you.
Yeah, I was going to say NA, being actually able to watch NA. I think it's actually for us Europeans, like since NA has NA East and NA West merged to NA Central, I don't think I watched a single tournament unless I'm watching it like back, as you said, it's like what's it 1 till 4 or fucking 12 till 3. It's like I'm not staying
2 till 5 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just not staying up to watch a round 4 or round 3 to 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning. Now they have it where it's like sometimes it's 11 till 2, or it might be 10 till 1, or like that is a lot more acceptable, and it makes it so the viewership for a lot of the North American streamers, and just for the broadcast as well, in my opinion, should go up, because you get more people actually able to watch it, and it builds more storylines, and it builds more of the stuff where, you know, it's not like there's a huge divide between, EU has their own sort of region and they're not watching NA, and NA has its own sort of region and they're not watching EU. It feels like we can now actually start to mix things together and start talking about, you know, start as European fans, start, you know, talking about North American teams, and start talking about, you know, Peaceball and Poyo and all this sort of stuff, instead of having to, you know, watch the VODs back, or, you know, not even watch it at all. Yeah,
I'm excited for that, especially come semis and grand finals time. It's a shame we've been able to watch, but then it's just round 4, so it's been crap anyway. So I didn't really want to watch this anyway, to be honest. But no, I agree with you. I'm surprised we didn't mention that last week, because I thought the exact same thing last week. I was like, wow, I actually can watch this now. But no, it's been good being able to watch NA.
Can I do a hot take quickly?
Oh, okay, go on.
Another loophole.
Another Morty. I know you lot are hating on the round 4 not being top 50 only. But I kind of like it.
That is a hot take. That is a hot take.
It's a bit hot. But my
DJ, if you'd looked at the topic list, we were going to get to that. But I guess we could jump in early if you really want to. We were going to get
anyway. I like how I like to watch a tourney is lying on the sofa with my dog watching Aussie Antics on my PlayStation, right in the front room. I don't like to sit there, you know, nerding out watching the whole end game and then 20 minutes of nothing and boring. And then I like just swapping between endgame and just watching Aussie, you know, waggling Steve around or something.
Yeah.
That's how I like to watch a tourney, to be honest. And I think it's a lot more engaging if there's just non-stop endgames.
But surely we can have
10 minutes.
We can have both. Surely, like, this is my problem. It's like,
we can have for that. There's grands. I don't need to watch grands twice.
No, it's not grands. It's just a little bit, you know, it's just all we need to have is a nice little top 250 or top 500. It can be top 500, so we have it with the end games, and then a top 50. So we beat both. I don't know, like, why Epic have decided it has to be one or the other. Like, why can't it just be both?
Yeah, it's a fair point, but
I
the
like
only
this
thing
round.
with the grands is it's just so in those top 50 weeks, it doesn't really mean anything. There's no prize pool. You know, the good players are going to go up, the bad players are going to go lower or whatever, right? It doesn't really mean anything this week, so I'd rather just watch a bit more in game, and it also makes it more interesting on the broadcast, right? Because you get to watch a bit more, not just
that's not a problem with top 50. That's a problem with there's like the actual round itself. Yeah, you just want more incentive. If there was more incentive, you're saying you'd enjoy more watching top 50. That's not a problem because it's top 50.
Yeah, true, but I don't know. I do enjoy watching a bunch of end games rather than just watching one every 25-ish minutes and then, you know.
No, that's fair.
Yeah,
and I don't think anyone says like this round 4. If it was the round 3, everyone would like it, because every FNCS people have enjoyed watching this round. You know, the whole who's going to make finals, who's not going to make finals. It's just like who's going to get top 50 in qual upper, or, you know, get top 150 in qual lower bracket. It's like there's no stakes, there's no nothing. It's like round 4 happens, and unless like you have a horror time, like you're just gonna qualify to lower bracket,
like Archie and Blue Me.
Yeah, like Archie and Blue Me. But yeah, it's just like realistically, you are just going to qualify, and it's like I could not watch it and come back and go, oh, this team's called up. I expected them to turn low. It's just like I don't think, you know, there's really that big of a deal. It's like round 4 to me feels the same as round 2. That I could skip it, and I don't think anything would change in my knowledge of teams.
Well, to sort of get onto why I wanted to talk about this as a whole was I don't think people care about round 4. Like the casual audience, nobody cares. And my main example that I was going to show of of why nobody cares, which was perplexing to me, is I'll get it up. I won't play the video because I know it's going to be like mad laggy. But shout out to my boy. I don't mean to flame him here. Pink made a video about, you know, the back-to-back win, first place again. It has 10K views. It has 10K views. He's won back-to-back qualifying weeks of FNCS, and it has 10K views.
Not enough kills, not like Peter Bottom Poyo. So you know, if they were dropping 30 bombs every single game, then maybe they get a few more views.
Maybe you're right, and I'm sure there'll be some YouTube expert that tells me, yeah, but actually the thumbnail and the title was shit, and that's why the views are bad. But I remember a time in Fortnite where if a team won like all the qualifying weeks of an FNCS, bro, their streams are lit, the views on YouTube are lit. Like, that's a banging video. That's like, people care. Like, but right now it seems like people just don't care about this shit.
There is not much interest in Fortnite at the moment. I think we all know that, right? Even the amount of people just in a rank is down like 40-50% than last season. The amount of people watching Fortnite content is down. Everybody's views are down.
So that is true.
Everything is down.
That is true. And we spoke about that last week. That is true. But that's not an excuse here, because the numbers are down, but the numbers are still a lot.
It's
like,
good.
Yeah, like EU still had 300K people queue up last week. That's still a lot of people queuing up for an FNCS. Like, there are still a lot of people watching. It's like, yes, numbers are down comparatively to what they were at during like the whole OG Chapter 5 peak. That's just how they were always going to go down. They were never going to stay there. People's like the fact that like people just aren't as interested in somebody being successful in this call format, to me says a lot. Like, it just shows people aren't interested. I don't think it's fun to watch. I don't think people are enjoying watching it. And hopefully there's some sort of reaction. I don't really, outside, you are actually the first person, DJ, who I've seen say something positive about this format. I've not seen anybody say they've enjoyed watching round fours like this, where it's top 250, because again, there's not much a coherent storyline you can follow. This was a critique I had. And I'm sure many of you probably feel the exact same as me, because you know we're in there together. Pink has won the past 2 weeks, but from a purely broadcast perspective, it's not felt like that. Like, we barely see the broadcast, it feels like, for one. So if it wasn't for us, you know, doing our jobs and going in replays and watching and see what they're doing, I'd be like, hold on a minute, how's this happened? Like,
if you didn't follow Pink on Twitch or something, right, you wouldn't actually realize. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't actually know that he's won, because I don't know. Did Fortnite even tweet that he won?
They do a tweet.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I mean, the thing that comes to mind for me is remember last season, and Ritual. They won 5 games in one of the qualifiers on NA in round 4s. And I think on the broadcast they showed it once. So like, if you were just purely watching the broadcast, like they saw one of their games. So it's like, that's such a crazy feat. Like 5 games out of the 10 or like 8 or whatever they ended up playing is crazy, right? So many people should be having their eyes on that, and that should get like 100,000 views on YouTube. But I think it's just the lack of storyline that is really difficult. I was trying to think of a solution to it as well, but you know, maybe like having like a lower bracket and an upper bracket, like top 50 and then top 200. Is sort of or top 250 down to 50 is the lower bracket, and then 50 and above is upper for each week. Could be quite interesting. And then maybe you broadcast round 3 or something and not just round 4. But yeah, it's tough to come up with a solution that isn't just change it to top 50.
Yeah, it's for me, it's just one of these things where it's like, I think Clutch said it really good.
What's up? let me go feed my dogs.
You got DJ's dog.
My dog's on there
making an appearance. Jesus. He's got so many, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Clutch said it best though. A format that builds no interest in a game that already struggles to retain interest cannot be good. Like Fortnite is like, we have always struggled with that whole aspect of like how we building the stories, how we keeping people interested, like how we keeping people locked the fuck in. And so a format like this where it like disperse the attention, right? You go from caring about the one lobby to having to try and figure out 5 lobbies, right? It's like, it's super, super hard. It was always going to be a recipe for like lack of interest, I think.
Yeah, and I was going to say on the point about not knowing that Pink, well, if you didn't follow Pink, you didn't know he was actually even playing. Is I remember when it was the top 50s or heats on the broadcast, you'd bring up the list of all the players who are playing. Yeah, right at the start. Whatever IGNs they have or they change or whatever, right? But at least you can see, okay, these are the players who are playing. So if I'm watching the broadcast, I already know the players who are playing. if I join the broadcast, how am I meant to know all 250 teams who are playing, their storylines, where they land, what's happening, that sort of stuff? You can't. It's impossible. The broadcast has an impossible job because the format just sucks. It's just simply put, the format just sucks. It doesn't allow loads of people to compete because it's 2 weeks and it's top 2K, so it doesn't increase, the excitement of people qualifying. It doesn't increase the competitiveness at a high level because you don't have finals lobbies to practice things and learn things and things like that. And then also you don't have, the storylines for the viewers to watch. So this format doesn't create anything good in my eyes. All it does is take away from what we have from competitive, which, as you said, Fortnite is already hard enough to create storylines because it's such a chaotic game to watch in end games. So then rip it back even further. It just makes it a mess.
Yeah, I think it's a shame because I actually really enjoyed semis last season, and I think I'll enjoy semis again this season. Like I think the semis format is like cool, and obviously grands is grand, so we know what to expect there. I just think quals has been very underwhelming, and hopefully like that can change at some point because at the moment it's just it's hard, I think, to keep people engaged with it.
Yeah. No,
it's hard. I mean, we have because there's so many different duos that play, so many different players that if you're a casual viewer trying to understand who's playing with who's a big player, who isn't a big player, who's going to be favorites for each season, the format of top 250 teams kind of just accentuates and exaggerates that problem of not knowing who to follow, and then we're not following a specific team, we're not following a specific storyline until semis, and then even in semis there are teams in lowers, there are teams in uppers. There's different formats. You have to win a game one day, qual through consistency on another day. Semis is really good, but it's just the storylines leading up to that make it very difficult if you're a casual viewer to think, right, okay, this is my favorite team, this is who I want to follow, or this is my favorite type of team. So the storylines start at semis almost.
Literally, I was literally about to finish off what you're saying of saying realistically, it does just start at seven. Like going into EU, like there are storylines there. Let me not like exaggerate too much, but like the story, like somewhat, like if you're stretching, like you got Queasy and Thomas haven't looked good this season. You got, Pink and like there are storylines there.
Queasy and Thomas being shit is not a storyline. That's just them being shit. That's
but that's a narrative that like is there to address. Like you can't say that's not a storyline. Of course that is. Like there's a narrative there. They just came second. They almost won FNCS. Of course that's a narrative, right? But my point is that there's not depth to them, right? There's not depth to these storylines because one, you'd go, okay, yeah, they look shit, but they did look shit in these calls. And these calls, people really trying or anything, right? Like there's already these things, there's already these qualifiers that you have to add, right? Is the point. And so, like a lot of it just starts at semis, which then makes it feel like, so what did we do these past 2 weeks for? And we had to wait 2 weeks before we got the semis. So we've waited a month really, and it's like,
we've had four weeks of 4 weeks, so we've had 2 weeks, which haven't really meant a lot. So I don't know. It's just a bit of a shame, to be honest. But hopefully things, I don't know what they do, but if they'd run this for a third season in a row, I don't know what the viewership is going to look like for Fortnite competitive, unless they reload the OG season again, bring all the players back, and then we go through this cycle over again. So
that is just what's going to happen, like we talked about last week, right? Like everyone will just come running back once they do an OG again. What else did I have in the
I've got bad if you want me to go ahead.
I got a bad as well. So we'll run mine and then we'll run yours.
All right.
So fine. I don't know how I can't show the clip because it's just gonna lag, sadly, and I need to figure that out. But essentially, we had these two Finnish players do incredibly well, it seemed. One of them was impersonating Uguay, Chapix, and the other one's name was Jewel. And essentially, there was this clip. You guys can all go watch it. I'll put the link in chat for the people who are watching live. One of the players, Jewel, he hit the maddest snipe I think I've seen in a long time. Like he hit like a double snipe in endgame, like mid-move in zones. He hits like a double snipe. And my first thought, and I wanted to have a conversation around this, was, is it bad that like the scene is at a point where as soon as I saw it, my first thought was like, is this guy cheating? Like I was almost like not even like my first initial reaction wasn't like, damn, this guy's insane and like that's crazy, man, maybe up and coming talent. And my first thought was like the skepticism of like, is there something fishy going on here? Like what's happening? and again, and I don't want to actually speculate about whether these guys are or not. Like, it's not to do that. I don't want to do that here. That's not what this platform's for. But again, is it like just bad that we're at a point where like you just see someone go crazy and you think to yourself, what's happening here?
Yeah, I mean, you see how many people qualify to round 4. Again, this is something people don't know because unless you're keeping track of it, there's been, I'm pretty sure, 15 duos that qualify to round 4 who have been banned. So the fact there are 15 duos that can go through round 1, round 2, round 3, and then play round 4, or sometimes maybe not, but most play round 4 and then get banned afterwards. Like, I don't think that's acceptable in the slightest. Like, the amount of teams of qualifiers that have been griefed, the amount of games they've just won, which other teams should have won, is like, no wonder we're all skeptical whether they're actually cheating or not, because so many qualify through. Us as viewers or as, you know, analysts, we expect a few teams to get banned in every single qualifier. We expect, you know, this team obviously is cheating. You know, his name is TikTok, whatever, and he's got average 6 kills a game. Obviously, he's cheating. Like, he's not just going to be the GOAT, like, out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's a shame because that's where our esport has come to, where if an upcoming player, if there's a new player who's coming onto the scene and they're getting high kill games, you don't first think he's the next best thing. You think, oh, he's obviously cheating, which sucks, obviously.
It's funny, though, because a lot of these players end up, like, going through that, and they go through the whole cycle of, like, people accusing them of cheating or whatever, and then they, like, actually, like, survive longer. And so people are like, oh, he's probably not cheating and he's still about, you know, he's still kicking it. Like, there's so many players. Like, I think back to when it was Nebs. Remember when Nebs went through that, right? Obviously, more recently, Chap, you know, there was, I think Teeny went through it initially when he burst onto the scene, right? Like, it happens with, like, a lot of players who just sort of come through.
Remember
Venno, yeah. I remember I did that. I did the whole stream with Venno, right? I went into his stream. It was hilarious. It seems to just be a part of life. And so I guess it's like if the kids keep popping off, then yeah. But then, like Harry sort of said, sometimes a lot of these guys almost just get removed off leaderboards and disappear into nothingness. And we're like, hold on a minute, what's happened there, you know?
Well, yeah, I was going to quickly say, like, it's like Cozy and Pazovsky. No one's talking about it. They've been removed from upper bracket. No one talks about it. They've been removed from upper bracket because Cozy was... Pazovsky, you know, his teammate was ban evading and no one knew. So he got banned 2 years.
That's the issue with Fortnite, though, right? Is it's quite easy to just share an account. It's quite easy to sell an account, and then suddenly you've got a bunch of people. You know, obviously the fresh account people get caught a little bit more often, but you got a bunch of people who get like an old account or get like a friend's account or something. They use very, very subtle cheats that you might not notice, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, just especially through replays, because that's kind of the way that you spot cheats, right? That's the posting the clip on Twitter. Replays are not the best for figuring out who's cheating or not. It's quite hard unless they're like fully aimbotting through walls the whole time. So like that sniper clip, which is kind of the one we're talking about, there's not really anything to go off because that you could hit that snipe, right? Anybody could.
That is feasibly possible, yeah.
Yeah, it's feasibly possible, and I assume Chapix isn't just playing as somebody cheating out his ass, right?
It isn't
Chapix, by the way.
No, Chapix plays with one last this FNtasia.
Oh, it's a fake.
Yeah, they didn't.
We made that mistake.
We made that mistake on the broadcast.
We did, yeah.
I got a DM from someone going, actually, 11, it's not Chapix. It's Finnish player called, and I was like, sorry, my bad. Yeah, no, you're right. Like again, and I don't know if you were here when I was saying it, DJ. Like the point of this was not to like accuse that guy.
Yeah,
it's not to that at all. It's also just like we're at that point where like you're always just gonna be skeptical of any player that sort of just comes up and pops off like that. And it's almost a shame because sometimes if someone's just like if it was me, I've just had the performance of my life, and everyone's just convinced I'm a cheater. Maybe it'd be an ego boost for some people, but then as well, it's also just like, well, damn, like, what am I to do now? You know, everyone's convinced. Like, I can't prove them wrong. You know, so.
Do you think that's part of why people don't care as much about these quals, right? Like they hear a couple players who've been cheating, and then suddenly the actual legit results and performances go. Nobody cares, right?
I think it cares. I think it matters more at the highest level, at like the niche level that we're at. I think like most casuals, they're just not like aware enough, so it doesn't really affect anything. But I think for like us and like people who would be watching FNtasia, etc., like it probably does have some sort of impact where people are just again, it all adds together. You know,
all it takes though, let's say one opens or even a zero build or something, right? All it takes is you guys cheaters 1 week, And then if you're a cat, why would you queue up again? You just died to a cheater, right? Like, what's the interest in you competing and watching tourneys and stuff? If that's an actual issue. So it's quite a tricky one for them to deal with, and it's been such a big issue now for like 2 years. It feels like a really big issue, right? And it doesn't seem to drastically be getting better.
I don't think so. This might be a hot take. I actually don't think the issue. I think the issue is more in the nature of communication around it from like an Epic side, more so than the actual volume of like cheaters or whatever. It's like the biggest problem is like cheating visibility. Obviously, that's always going to be the biggest problem. Just like how aware are we of people cheating, more so than actual cheaters themselves. And cheating visibility now is at an all-time high. Like people cheated back in World Cup times, but people didn't talk about it much, right? But now everyone's always talking about it. And yeah, I guess like I don't really know how I'd want Epic to handle it from like a communication perspective. I don't know examples of other games really common like.
I was just going to say that in like League of Legends, always it's like if there's so many top players, right? We go back to last FNCS. We talked about this last week, right? The people got their games removed, and Epic said nothing in last grants. We don't know if they were cheating or if they were stream sniping or what happened, right? And all it takes is Epic to make a competitive ruling tweet saying these are the reason why we removed their games. This is what happened, and we go from it, right? Yeah. And I think at the highest level, like as I said, Pizovsky, it's not hard for them to just make a tweet. This is the reason why someone who comes top 50 in your qualifiers is a top player. You should have to make some form of comment on why they've been banned. You shouldn't be able to just remove a player off a leaderboard who is a top player who is qualifying to upper bracket and nothing be said. I think, like, in my opinion, it's just like, as you said, like as a viewer, it's like, oh, this team I was looking forward to and I enjoyed watching last week has just disappeared, and we have no reason why.
Even from a visibility perspective, I feel like it might be beneficial for them to do that, even just from the aspect of like, not even specifics, even if they're just like, hey, some players have been removed for XYZ reasons. Reminder to everybody, these are the rules. To follow these. Like,
they do that.
They did that about the.
Well, they did it, yeah. Anyway. So they did that for what we're going to get into, right? But I'd like them to do that because for example, in this case, you said like the guy's been done for ban evading, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd love them to just be like, hey, again, like very clearly, hey, we've removed some players for this reason. Reminder: if you have been banned, do not ban evade. We will get your ass anyway. Yeah. So stop. Like I'd love them to do more stuff like that. Maybe they feel like Atkins. I already know that they probably feel like, yeah, the less we say, the better. But
it doesn't work out that way. It feels like the less they say, the more people think they can get away with it.
Which I think is problematic. You just need to make examples out of people all the time, right? You make examples out of people, and then there you go. You scare people off. Yeah. Well, let's get to the uglies then, because again, we're sort of linked.
Hold on.
You had yours. Yeah. My bad.
I think it's something no one's really talking about is last season's grand finalists, Cringe and Noms. I don't know if you saw everything that happened on Twitter. They've now split for lower brackets. So what happened? Cringe and Noms
are split.
I did not.
They have split for lower brackets. So what happened, right, is for round 2 of the last week, Noms. Well, he went to bed at 10 a.m. before the obviously 2 p.m. qualifier. He was up all night playing Brawl Stars, whatever, and he joined in late. And basically, from what it seems like, they argued they didn't get through round 3. And long and short of it is they're just completely complaining. Cringe is saying Noms is shit, saying obviously the whole new damage thing that Osiren and Kincha started. That is creating so much drama between duos. All I see after every tournament is a screenshot of someone with a 0.5 damage ratio. And it's just like, and that's basically what that's happened is they were just like a massive thread in German with like Janice and people butting in. It's just basically Cringe saying Noms is shit. He looks at his chat all the time. Now they're streaming everything. They're doing a lot worse. And Noms saying Cringe has got the biggest ego. And now they split for lower bracket. And I think this is obviously back to format. There's so many duos. There's a lot of duos in the EU, smaller duos, but Cringe and Noms is the biggest one, who are splitting for lower bracket and trying to find new duos. And yeah, I just wanted to bring light to it because I feel like no one talks about it as probably the best Lavish Lair team we have going into FNCS, them splitting just before. So, for example, it was Cringe played with Sky Dune for the Performance Cup, and I don't know who Noms played with. I will have a look. But yeah, I feel like no one talks about it. Again, another storyline that I feel like people could talk about, but again, it's not really been brought up. So, Noms played with some random German guy. He hasn't found a teammate, but yeah. They split for. It seems like they're permanently split for lower bracket for the future.
That is very interesting. Stinker, really.
Quite funny actually, getting split because you're playing Brawl Stars till 10 AM.
Yeah, like, it's a bit of a stinker, really. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's an interesting one. So, have they said? Because I saw people were talking about this today. You are allowed to play with other people in lowers, right? Like you're allowed to split.
I don't think they've said exactly, but if we're going off the whole like you can only play the session with one team, or you can like change teammates before a session or whatever. If we're counting lower bracket as its own session, then it would make sense you're able to split and play with someone else.
Okay. Yeah, because that's also another thing. Like, I'm not sure. I saw a lot of people were confused about whether that was the case or not, whether you could actually even split. So what happens if like they go to queue up with other people? Just not working.
Like,
they have to quick. Yo, bro, you ready to play?
Yo, bro, like, yeah. So that could be a problem itself. That's interesting, man. Wow. Okay. So my thing is, that in terms of the implications for like the top level, yeah, I sort of expected those guys to just be grand finalists at Lavish Lair. So I guess that could open up a spot. I don't think there's any other really good teams that land there. So.
There is one. We'll get onto it in a bit, but there is a team who has gone back to Lavish Lair, who in the
gone back. Is it
yeah.
who I'm thinking of?
It is who you're thinking of. In the game that mattered in round 2, they went back. They went back. So they might be going back and trying to play lower bracket from there, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, for people wondering if because Harry likes to be cryptic. Queasy and Thomas obviously landed there last season, did really well. They left, but I mean, if Cringe and Noms aren't going to be there. They might look at it and go, yeah, we want to go back there. So that would be interesting. Any other thoughts from anyone else? I really liked Cringe Noms. I always thought they were fun to watch. They were a pretty decent fighting team, right? So you'd always see them scrapping it about, for bunkers and whatnot. But I mean, it seems like they didn't get along too much, which is
I kind of respect Cringe for that, though. I think if your teammate's not taking it seriously, if he's not really locked in, then the time is awkward, right? It's probably the worst time to split against maybe going into grands. But yeah, I'm just concerned about whether they're going to be able to get another teammate from lowers, right? Because another team has to split for them to be able to play with the new people. So. I don't know how that's going to work. There's not just like an open pool of players that they can pick up. Two other teams probably have got to get split for this to work. So I personally think they'll just end up playing it together.
Yeah, Skydoon, who he did play with, has split for lowers as well. So Skydoon was playing with, I think it was Slove he was playing with, and they qualified in the last week. They've also split. So it looks like Skydoon and Cringe are going to be a duo. Not confirmed, but like they played Fortnite Cup, they're both in lowers. It looks like that's happening. Noms looks like he hasn't got anyone, so it might return into a situation where it's going to be like it's going to trickle down to Noms and some really shit player, and it's like, would Noms be willing to ready up with him or just not do anything?
I mean, at that point, you do just ready up with whoever you can get. Some poor fella out there is just going to have his duo snatched by like a top, tier 2 player just because unlucky, really, because he played Brawl Stars, because he played Brawl Stars. Well, yeah, I mean, again, linking it to the next ugly that I was sort of going to get onto, the NA duo disqualification saga. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have been locked into what happened over on NAF and CS. Yeah, but I'm gonna try and give you a recap. I was like, I had it like all listed out, and I'm gonna try my best to go through it all here. And I'm probably still gonna get it wrong, but I'm gonna try anyway. So, for people who don't know, after week 1 of the qualifiers in NA, a bunch of teams split, or one team split, and it led to a mass snaking in once again in NA. And to give you the rundown of what it was, Dukes was playing with Noxy, and obviously Miro's playing with Aviv. Essentially, Miro snaked Aviv to go play with Duke because Duke didn't want to play with Noxy anymore because they didn't do that good in Qualifier 1. And so, obviously, Miro, a very big player, and Duke, another very big player, coming to play with each other meant that there was now a power vacuum, now who's going to play with who. Quanti was playing with Chubbs, and obviously they were contesting Peterborough and Poyo at Grim Gate, right? And Quanti and Chubbs were involved in that whole big saga. Chubbs went, Aviv is better than Quanti, so I think I'm going to go play with Aviv instead. And so Chubbs ended up playing with Aviv. That left Quanti to play with. Who did Quanti end up queuing up with again? Let me check here. Quanti ended up queuing up with
Isla?
Byler, yeah.
With Byler, yes,
Byler.
because
God.
so basically Byler was playing with Crisp. But then I think Crisp left Byler to go play with
Noxy.
with Noxy. And then I failed already to explain all of that.
Yeah.
But essentially, a bunch of players split up with a bunch of players. But what these players didn't do before they split was check and read the rules of FNCS. And so, for the people wondering, what were the rules, Levin? What do you mean the rules of FNCS? What? There's no rules. We can just split. That's how it's always worked. No. Epic themselves came out and confirmed. And what the rule was, it was basically like rule 4.1.6. In addition, we want to remind you that players may only participate on one team at a time throughout each session. If a player qualifies to the semi-finals multiple times with different teams through series points advancement, as listed in section 2.4.4, only the team with the highest series point value will be qualified to the semi-finals. All other teams will not qualify regardless of their series points and will be removed from the series point leaderboard. So how this actually manifested was that based off of how everybody placed, it meant that Duke qualified playing with Miro, Chubbs qualified playing with Aviv, Byler qualified playing with Crisp, but that left Quanti and Noxy all alone out of the reckoning, even though the points that they got playing with their new duos in Qualifier 2 wasn't enough to qualify them to the lower bracket semi-finals. So they had enough points based on how they played in Qual 2, but because they had played with other teams and they got outplaced,
There we go.
Qualified from FNCS. So, yeah. Hopefully I got through that. Did I get through that all right?
Yeah, it seems about right.
Yeah.
That was a good recap.
Perfectly.
Thank you.
I don't know how much that's really good. Like, that rule now, everyone knows it. I don't know how much as a player, if you're someone who already wants to split with your duo, is that really going to change your thought process next time? Because if you're like, we did bad, I'm 100% doing better with this player, you're still going to split. A lot of North American players, a lot of those players who are, on orgs have got like some form of salary, obviously still want to, qualify to grands and whatever. A lot of them would take the risk if they don't feel they're going to do well in grands. So I don't know how much that's going to change, but it is quite funny. The fact that we're running into a situation where people are being locked out because, a duo 5 steps along split up and it's meant you can't play FNCS. That's basically what happened with Quanti was like Mirror or like Dukes and Mirrors ended up during, which then meant Aviv was by himself. So Aviv asked Chubbs, which then meant that Quanti was alone. And it's like, it's not even Quanti's fault. Or it's not even Chubbs' fault, really. Obviously, he did say yes, but like if you're, you're looking at Aviv versus Quanti, you're going to play with Aviv, right? But it's not really Quanti or Chubbs' fault. It's a duo so far, like further along the line that doesn't even have anything to do with you.
Yeah, it's funny because I was watching like Aussie stream when like it was all sort of kicking off and everyone was sort of realizing what was going on, and he chucked a bunch of them in the call. Like he got Miro, Quanti, a bunch of them were in the call, and they were all sort of just like, we don't really know what's happening. It was funny because at a certain point, I think Miro literally said was like, you know what, none of us deserve to play. Let's all. I hope they disqualify all of us because none of us deserve to play after this shit. And in the end, it was really just a couple that got screwed. And like you said, Harry, man, it's unfortunate. Like Quanti tweeted it himself saying, I've just been screwed because Miro, decided he didn't want to play with his duo anymore. And that means I can't play FNCS. It's a tough one because I think you're right in that I don't know how much it deters people down the line. And I'm guessing that's why they added the rule to try and deter people.
Yeah.
But again, it probably still doesn't do it that much. I just thought it was very funny, though. It's a shame we won't get to see Quanti and Noxy, because I'd been watching Noxy at the start of the season with Dukes, and I thought they looked all right. I remember I watched a couple of the games from Cash Cup. I thought they looked all right. And he was a player who did decent last FNCS, right, as well. So now he's just not going to make it back to Grands when he's clearly a good enough player to be making it there. And obviously Quanti was the one person, he was NA savior. He was the one that he was destined to take down Peterbot and Poyo, and now he's going to be watching from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Can we not beat around the bush a little bit here, right? I do think it's their own fault in it. Obviously, it's the rule. It's a little,
yeah.
For Quanti specifically, he decided to con Peterbot, right? Which obviously is not going to go too well. Like, you're obviously not just going to have a really good star-making performance if you new Geo or whatever. You're obviously just going to do bad. And he like kind of just did it for the clout and for the stream or something. And it's kind of just bitten back, right? Like it's 100% his own fault that he's not playing in FNCS. Obviously, the rule's a little bit annoying. But that's just Fortnite, isn't it? There's always some rule that catches you somewhere.
I mean, Chubbs and Conti did not. I just looked because I wondered how they did in that first week. They came 24th. They didn't do bad. They did pretty well. And Chubbs, maybe it's Chubbs' fault, to be honest, but he made the right decision. He came 4th with a Vive. So it's like, realistically, like, they did well. And like, if you're Quanti,
it's not like they weren't bad.
You're probably sitting there like, we're in a really good spot to qual up. Let's just, chill, go next week and we're fine. And then, yeah. But no, I agree. It's like, I don't know. It is the player's fault, obviously. It is the player's fault.
Yeah,
like if you're the best duo, you're not going to get split with. So obviously, it's slightly their fault.
I don't think anyone's absolving them of blame. Of course, it's their fault. Read the rules next time, dummies.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think what you're saying is harsh. I don't think that's true. One, I don't think he was doing it for the clout, etc. Like I actually don't think he was doing it for any of those reasons. I think he genuinely just thought, like, what's the point? Like, GG. Like, either I'm gonna go Grimgate and I'm gonna get this shit and I'm gonna have fun, or it's GG, go next. And on top of that, it's like it's different if they were actually doing bad. Like they came 24th in round 4. Like they were in a good position. Like it's not like they were like crashing out of FNCS. I think it's just unlucky that there was a better player available. I mean, again, it's like if any of us are in that situation, if there is a chance to just play with a better player. Like in most cases, you're gonna take it. Yes, it definitely, I think, added for Chubbs' decision. But like Chubbs clearly wasn't as confident conning Peterbot in that at gate as Quanti was, right? It was Quanti's idea. Chubbs was having to follow along with it, and so he was already a bit of like a weak link in that sense. Of he wasn't really backing the idea. Now there's a better player available to play with. I'm gonna just jump at that, right? But I do think I think it's very unlucky for the people that got. I think it wouldn't be as bad if they actually just didn't do well with the newer duos. The fact that with the newer duos, they actually did good enough to still make lowers. Yeah, the rules are the rules, man. You know,
the one sucks for Quanti, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it just sucks for him. Like he got snaked. I don't know what the solution is. Like, is the solution to just make it so you can't switch teammates between week 1 and week 2?
Oh, but that's going to be so messy.
No. So as much as we're having this conversation, I actually am fine with the rule. Now that people know it, because I think now that people know it, it's cool. I think the problem was just that people didn't really know, and it's their fault for not knowing because they didn't read the rules. But I actually am fine with the rule. I thought, to be honest, I said when it was all kicking off in Aussie's chat, I said I think it'd be funnier if just all the teams that were below the highest placing team, the highest placing team, the rest of you, all of you.
Like, just a battle between all of them. So you can get the highest. I like that.
They still could have. It just needed to play a bit better, no? Like, not saying I'm some peak performance expert in FNCS, obviously not. But if he needed to beat a 24th, why is he not trying to beat that? Do you know what I mean? He just didn't play as good as he needed to. So, and the other players did, right? They all got better duos and they played better and they had a better week. So, sort of on them and their responsibility that they played bad.
No, I agree.
So,
I was going to say the one team this benefits is Paco and Mixon. Miro has now left the spot, and now we can all agree that I think Chubbs is probably worse than Miro, especially as Miro should land there now for a season, or now land there for the majority of the season. It's helping EU. Like this whole snakening has just benefited EU, and you know what? Like I'm grateful for Miro getting bored and decided to switch teammates because it gives Paco and Mixon a best chance at either being uncontested if Chubbs and Aviv don't do well in the finals because we have no idea how well they're going to do, or doing better off spawn because, again, Miro's probably a better player than Chubbs at the end of the day.
And on top of that, Peterbot confirms wins Grands now. So congratulations to Peterbot and Poyo for your Grand Finals win. Looking forward to that. Like, we didn't already know that. But now you're right. It served to benefit all the people that weren't involved.
Yeah.
Not many of the people benefited. And like we were sort of saying, a lot of it, because we were talking about last week, we talked about the other NA snaking that happened, right? With a couple of the other teams. And a lot of it, again, just feels like a lot of sideways moves. To be fair, maybe for Miro and Dukes, maybe they're probably looking at their teams better off. No, they're definitely looking at their teams better off. But like for the rest of them, a lot of it is just like it's a bit of a sideways move. I don't know how long this really serves to benefit you guys, but oh well. It's a shame, I guess we won't get to see Quanti and Noxy. The rest of them we will see though, so you know it's a good thing that we get to see some of those guys. And yeah, we'll see what happens next season. If another thing, Epic just added this and like didn't say like they put it in the rules. They did say in the sense they put in the rules, but it's like they just like changed this and like didn't really like mention it. You know, this tweet would have been helpful before FNTS if they,
when it was all starting, when all the snakening was starting, they could have gone, you know what, guys, here's just a heads up.
Yeah,
this
like,
might happen.
Yeah,
it's like basically they were just like afterwards, it's like fuck you guys, you know, you're no longer playing FNCS, and that's just basically it. It's just it's funny to watch, but man, I feel so bad for Quanti. Like, even though yes, he could have beaten a 24th in place, 24th is not bad. It's not bad. It's actually good in most regards, but. Yeah, again, as you said, Pure and Poyo, FNCS winners, and that made NA redundant to watch. But anyway,
yeah, literally, we'll still all watch though to see.
Exactly.
We'll all be hate watching to see them crumble down and fail. Was there any other uglies?
We have to talk about it. Queasy and Thomas. We have to talk about not making it through round 3. And I don't know if any of you guys watch their games. It's a disaster. You could go through every part of their game and say there's something wrong. From changing landing spot, I've seen them land 3 to 4 different landing spots within the weeks. And, you know, struggling at Mount Olympus, going back to Lavish Lair, landing Grimgate some games and looking, you know, they get top chests and then just disperse and do whatever the fuck they want to do at Grimgate, and one of them will die or they'll just be scuffed or spawn. To the mid game where they're getting below Surge in round 3. Now, that's just Queasy and Thomas we're talking about here. This is a team that should not be struggling anywhere near with Surge in round 3. You know, they're carrying double SMG. They're not fighting anyone. They're getting bunkers for free when they were landing Lavish Lair. They're carrying Thomas with snipers, which obviously after the sniper nerf, Thomas is still Thomas, but, you know, it's not as consistent as like a DMR or waterbending or anything like that. And then you watch their, you know, just for endgame, their 50-50 rotates. They're very reliant, it feels like, on RNG. They're positioning directly on the line every single time. They're hoping they pull zone. If you look at Queasy's Twitter, he's complaining about those zones every single time without fail. And then you watch their endgames, and it feels like you could swap their nameplates with any top 500 team, and you wouldn't be surprised. They're not consistently going for height. Their refreshes are a mess. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's like, how can you go from last season being so good and so consistent to this season where they just look like a shell of themselves, to be honest? But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know what they got to turn it around for a low bracket. I don't know what they're gonna do, but
Harry, you're a hate watcher. You really are.
I am a hate watcher.
You've gone in the VODs and you've watched, and you're like, oh, they're a top 500 team. These guys are some arse. You know, you've analysed how bad they are. I respect it.
Because I was curious because I'm like, this is Queasy and Thomas. This is a team who, with your they should be able to play literally with their eyes closed and qualify. They're genuinely through a round 3 as well, which for them is like, I understand maybe they have a mess in round 4. You know, last week they came 90th, and like if they came 90th and if they came 90th again, you could say landing spot issues, whatever. You know, they're still doing fine, but not making out of a round 3.
Yeah, that's a howler.
That's just like, I just gotta say how it is. They're not gonna sit there and go like, oh, woe is me, like, oh, we got unlucky. Like they're obviously gonna sit there and like, we played shit, and it's fine to like be like that.
So I spoke to Queasy, and he very much gave me the sort of holiday vibes of like, you've done good in a season, you have a season off, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the main problem that Queasy had last year was that when he had that season off, it was the season before Globals, right? Obviously they had the domination season. You know, him and Veno did amazingly. And the next season, everything went awry. And that was probably the worst time for things to go tits up, right before Globals, right? You know, you want to be locked in right before Globals. And so when I spoke to him, he had almost accepted his fate of like, yeah, this season's dudded, but at least it's happening now. You know, we're vibing now, you know, we're dudded now, but then we can lock in for Major 3, and then we'll be ready for Globals.
That is smart.
I don't.
It's smart, but like
why do you have to have the letdown? You don't have to like fall off,
right? With Queasy, after that season, I remember him and Venno just got completely burnt out, right?
Mhm.
VODing, scrimming that much, getting those results just non-stop, you know? You do get burned out after that, and that's probably what happened. They had an absolute stinker, right? That one season didn't even qualify or whatever, and they swapped drops or whatever. So I think it's actually not bad, because I think what can happen at a pro level is you can just constantly just be pushing everything at the wall non-stop, and you can, you know, maybe make it every single grands, but I don't know, maybe that's what happened to Tayson, right? He's just got a bunch of 15ths in a row pushing. I don't know, but you know what I mean. There's only a certain amount of effort you can put in continuously, and then you're going to hit like a sort of point where you can't actually improve from that much effort, right? Because that's kind of your baseline. So having a little bit of a break, obviously I don't think having a break mid FNCS, you probably just have a little holiday after whatever something's happened, right? But I guess I think it could work out well for them. They just have one stinker season, and the next season they full grind. They've got that motivation back. They saw people do much better than them, and then they're locked in for globals.
Yeah, I think you're being too lenient on them. I think
maybe, yeah.
I think if we're gonna do the whole, because I don't think I agree with you in terms of the premise of like you can't just keep going at 100% all year long. Like there's gonna have to be that down period at some point, or at least there's gonna be an element of like, you know, you ramp up there. And if you are one of the teams that like qualifies for global so early, like naturally it is, especially when you're two players who have been at the top of Fortnite for years now, right? We already know, right? If, you know, for people, maybe people don't know, but I know a lot of us, we already know that those two have had their fair share of like motivation issues when it comes to playing the game on a regular, consistent basis, right? Like, you know, Thomas famously doesn't really play much Fortnite outside of tournaments. Queasy's very much more open with it, right? He's, you know, on the gym grind, he's going on holiday skiing, he's doing this, he's living life, he's enjoying life as they should. Yeah. But if we're gonna do the break thing, let's do it like Aqua. And I know Aqua does it because of medical reasons, but like Aqua is gone he's actually gone, comes back, revitalized, refreshed, does good, then he's gone again, like proper gone, comes back good. They're not good. They're here, they're playing, and they're not doing good. And so it's like one of those things where, like you said, Harry, these are two players good enough to where they should be qualifying for these things with their eyes closed. Like it should, even if they are having an off season, like it shouldn't be this rocky.
That's my issue, right? It's like you watch them, and last season you could see a Thomas and Queasy game very, very easily, right? And I don't know, like that's my biggest issue. Is like, are they going to feel revitalized if they just have a dud season, as you said? Like, are they going to sit there and go, we're gonna play both low brackets? Let's say they play both low brackets and don't qualify. Are they going to be happy that they played low brackets in those lobbies, which for Queasy and Thomas are very easy lobbies, and they don't qualify through either? Or let's say they could go into upper and they don't qualify or whatever, right? Are they going to sit there and go, you know what, I'm glad we had that break? They're probably not going to be happy with that at all. I don't know if that's actually, as you said, like I think doing an Aqua and like properly not playing and then just going, okay, one season off, and then you just go again next season. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just like, I don't think having a bad performance is going to revitalize you for next FNCS. If anything, it's just going to add more doubts into it.
Because now you start to manifest problems. Again, this is speculation. I don't know if this is true, but now what happens if now Thomas starts thinking, I don't really know if I can trust this brother's cause, you know? Or what happens where Queasy's thinking, brother, this brother's a fraud, man. Where the snipes I was promised? This Thomas, like, what now happens when both people almost start resenting each other a bit, and it's like, hold on a minute, like things have been, again, these guys are humans, they're not robots at the end of the day. So you remember these negative experiences. I think the best case scenario for them is that they both just 100% delude themselves for the better and go, yeah, this season was never going to be for us anyway. Like, it was just that there's nothing we can do. Like, they actually both have to just convince each other that there was not, like, it's not in their control.
It was the season's fault.
Right? Literally. And it's funny because Blood in the chat there has said, you know, about how last year Thomas struggled with no mobility meta and Queasy did as well, right?
That's what I was about to say. It's the same thing.
And maybe, just maybe, you know, their only hope is just going, yeah, look, meta wasn't for us. It is what it is. It's studded. Go next. But then I go, as a critic, I go, what happens if globals is no mobility meta? You're going to say unlucky, GG? Like, at some point, you got to work out these issues, or you got to figure out what's going wrong, or you got to have a way of going about it differently.
It is true, though. I'll use an example quickly. You guys remember Tifu back in the skirmish days? He would never, ever, ever take any blame for anything that he did, right? He would die and he would just say it's unlucky, it's just bullshit, right? He would never ever take any shred of responsibility. And that is actually quite good when you're a top competitor, because you don't get self-doubt, right? So Queasy and Thomas next season, let's say this season drops down, they get something crazy, they get pads back or something, right? They're not going to be thinking, oh, we're shit, you know, we didn't qualifiers or whatever, didn't make grands. They're not going to be thinking that. They're going to be thinking, I was unlucky last season, but let's, you know, lock in now. It's actually a good mindset to have at a top level, not blaming yourself. I know some people will disagree and say, oh, you should blame yourself and fix mistakes and stuff, which, yeah, it's a good point. But not blaming yourself can be quite good at a very top competitor level, because then you don't get that self-doubt, you know, in your head. And you always have that belief.
There's a balance. There's a balance there.
There definitely is a balance. But I think Queasy is one of those type of players. Same with Thomas, right?
I don't think they'll be worried about. I don't think they'll have self-doubt problems. I agree with you. Like, I don't think they'll either of those, and they shouldn't, because they're fucking crazy. Like, it's Thomas and Queasy we're talking about. Yeah, like, look at who we're talking about here, bro. Like, that's part of why it's almost sad, because we shouldn't be having this conversation about Thomas and Queasy. Like, we just shouldn't be. Like, regardless of the circumstances of why things are dudded, you know.
Yeah. You think that break is more of a Queasy thing than a Thomas thing as well? Like, Thomas is. I just feel like, although Thomas doesn't play the game, I never really feel like Thomas is completely out of it. Like, he's always in and amongst the top players, and he's always like, you know, top of the leaderboards. Like, he's always in and amongst the top players, even if he's not grinding. Like, he's not doing scrims. Like, Thomas never scrims. Everyone knows that. So is it a Queasy thing that they're not fully trying this season? And I think personally,
I'd agree. I agree, because it's not like Queasy and Thomas went on holiday. It's Queasy went on holiday and Thomas played cash cups with Chino. So it's like. It was, and I mean, they qualified, to be honest. So, you know, if we're talking about that sort of stuff, but no, I agree. It's like, I don't think, like, what's Thomas's average grands placement? I think it's like 8th or something. He qualifies to pretty much every single one. He places well in every single one. Obviously, he doesn't win, but he's always in and around winning it. To then go from, as I said, second to not even qualifying, you can give some blame, you know, to the some blame to having a break and going on holiday and all this stuff. But as you said, we're talking about Queasy and Thomas here at the end of the day. These guys should, as I said, should be qualifying easily. Even if it's to low, as I said, lower bracket, top 100s, maybe you do bad in round 4 because you have a landing spot, that's fine. But it's the manner they qualified to lower bracket. That's something you'd see out of, you know, just another random team. You know, they make one top 100, you know, they have come top 100 out of top 250, and then they don't make it out of top 1000. It's like, as I said, we're talking about Queasy and Thomas. These are guys who, well, when we did our preseason predictions and tier lists, they were in the top 5. To then now say that, oh, it's fine, they had a bad season because they're having a mental break. It's like, they should, even if they should be qualifying anyways. And maybe it's the landing spot problem that they chose a bad landing spot. Who knows?
Maybe we should just know this now, that if there's ever a season where Queasy does well, we should just predict a complete dud the next season.
It's ridiculous. It should just be
automatic, you know?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because, as you said, like obviously Queasy and Vino going from the most dominant team EU has ever seen to not even making grand finals. This obviously nothing. I don't think will ever rival that. That turnaround, nothing will ever compare to that. But this is getting close if they don't make grands. Like, to go from second to not qualifying, or could have won in another world. They could have won that FNCS, right? You know, if he gets the kill when the guy falls off, or one other kill, one extra placement, they win. So yeah, it's insane. But you know, there's, you know, if you're Queasy and Thomas, you're millionaires. So in the bigger picture, does it actually matter?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be sad. At least, like, again, like when I spoke to Queasy about it, like he didn't seem sad. Like he actually did have a mentality about it and a like attitude about it that did inspire some confidence of like it didn't seem like it's something that he's letting affect him too greatly, which I think is good. So, but no, yeah, that definitely was one of the uglier looks from Qualifier 2 for sure. Them two not making round 4. Jeez. Yeah. Any other uglies from FNCS?
I've got
Chaffink's not qualifying. Chaffink's not qualifying at all. With one less, that was my other one that I had. Nothing too crazy from me about that. I mean, obviously we'd like to see Chaffink's do well. Of course, you know, he's a very experienced player in EU. Like, we know all about him, but yeah, I think that for me is like just not what you want to see, really. Particularly when I think they made week 1, right? They just didn't make week 2.
Yeah, I think him playing with Chino last season could have revitalized him a slight bit, you know, when they qualify grands, but getting contested at a shit landing
The
spot
worst
like Drake.
spot.
They're literally the worst spot on the map by FNtasia and King. It's like Chapix Pro sits there. It's like I spent 5 weeks playing the game to get contested, and there goes my season. You're not going to sit there and go, I can't wait for next FNCS.
Right. I'm surprised you queued up.
Yeah, because speaking to Chino, he was like, he didn't even know if Chapix was playing the game or not. He had no idea if he was going to play FNCS. So that's why he ended up with Noah. It's like he didn't know if Chapix was playing. He hadn't really heard it from him. So it was like, he was just like, it seemed like Chapix just took that grands. It's like, we got griefed at grands, and what's the point of me trying again? And one last, it seems like as well as a good Valorant player. So they're both Valorant players. Whenever they tweet, they say like Valorant players qualifying, right? That's what they always tweet, right? Yeah. So that's like literally it's like it feels like they just drew on Valorant. They're like, or play Valorant together, and they're just like, fuck it, we'll play FNCS, see what happens. So I'm not really surprised.
I think for me, I would have put that in bad instead of ugly. I just wasn't expecting much from them. Sadly, anyway. It was just, it's a bad look, but yeah. I did quickly want to say as well before you give us yours, DJ. Someone in chat did say, surely getting second like that can motivate you more. I think for most people it would, but when you're two players who have been doing this shit for 4 years at the highest level, and when one of them especially has come second now like 8 times, I think you'd probably just like eventually the second places stop having that effect of next season I'm gonna get them. Like eventually you run out of that juice, you know. And unfortunately, and I think that's sort of what's happened there with those.
I mean, some players like a good placement validates them, right? And it's like, oh, I'm done, you know.
Yeah,
I made it. I don't need to put more work in. And some it means, oh, I'm almost at that like really good threshold. It just depends. And I think for those two, a really good placement, just like, oh yeah, we're still really good. Oh, it's unlucky you didn't win. Go next.
I think a really good placement for that does that to them. I think a second place specifically, almost actually gives the effect of like, oh, for fuck's sake, like what more do we have to do? Like, you know, they probably came away from that season going, are you kidding me? Like, we are the unluckiest people ever. It's like, I don't think it would have had that effect for them. But DJ, what are you gonna?
Oh, my two was unfortunately Bloomy did not make it to lowers. Week 1, he called round 4. He was streaming it. There was some very milky moments, a lot of headshot snipes. And then he didn't do too good in round 3. And then also Archie, Conan Ice, who was in chat earlier, €2,000 deposited into Nipsey's bank account. And they haven't made lowers. Yeah, they had a bit of stinker round 4, week 1, and then didn't qual. Yeah, bit tough. So I would have personally loved to watch both of them. Yeah, in lowers, just running about being stupid. You know what I mean? But
what happened with Bloomy and his duo? Because I know they split after week 1.
No, they played. They carried on playing.
Did they play week 2 as well? Bloomy and what was this guy's name?
Tyra, some like console guy he had blocked for 4 years, and he started playing with him and he got his first ever place with it.
Of course, that's a Bloomy classic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, Archie, like for Conan Ice, that might be worst investment of all time in Fortnite. Like, yeah, is up there to
might be.
It like with the format is. If it was the old Heats format, you could go like, oh, that's understandable. But it's this Heats format where top 250 teams qualify, and you've paid Nipsey, who qualified pretty comfortably with Jerdy last season, to play, and they don't even, same thing, don't make out of round 3. Like, yeah, it's a bit rough. It's just a bit of a rough day for Archie.
He'll be all right.
He always bounces back. He always bounces back. All right. Well, enough of FNCS. That was it. Again, hopefully we have more. I think the plan for next week we'll sort of do like some prediction type stuff for semis to see how that goes. But we sort of have a week of just nothing, or 2 weeks of just nothing, which is a bit unfortunate. But we did have something yesterday that I wanted to dive into. The solo victory cup. We already talked about it a bit because you guys are roasting me about my placement, but we all did play, I think, except Mini Man. I don't think you played. I didn't see you on.
I played the Duo 0 build and didn't make money. So
that's rough. Stinker. But you all played, right? You all played. How did it go for you, Harry?
Not good. Not good. But you know, where am I landing? So I landed the beach bottom left, and then going forecast, and then I went Grim Gate last game. and then had Grimgate loot and didn't win. So
well, you actually got
yeah,
Grimgate
I won Grimgate, yeah, and then we
Wow.
yeah, I didn't win. I got like 15th or something. So, but no, solo cash cup's like it's fun. The thought of playing a solo cash cup, like you build up to it. You're like, this is gonna be fun. You know, you win a game. It's only 2 wins to qualify, right?
Yeah.
You play that first game, you do something stupid, or some actual just moron just griefs you. I got double Zeus yesterday. I got teamed on in like 50-50 double Zeus. It's just like you go literally. I went through them today. I wanted to look at my match history. I was like, every game pissed me off. There was something in every game that annoyed me somewhere or another.
It's just how solos are.
It is just solos. It's like the thought of playing is like you get to yes, gonna make money this week. And then you play it, and after the 2 hours, you're like, "What the fuck have I done with my life? Why have I played that solo cash cup?"
I had hyped myself up all week, like ready for it. You know, I had a sort of plan in my mind of how I was going to go about things. I knew it was going to have to be a 0 kill challenge for me.
I was going to say you're looking a bit too fraggy for my life.
0.3 average Elim.
I knew it was going to have to be I knew it was going to have to be a 0 elim angle because, you know, I'd been playing a bunch of creative during the week and it was not looking good. The mechs are not there at all.
Can we please get your match history up on the stream?
Screenshot
and put it in Discord to get Levin to put it up. Oh my.
Yeah, it didn't look good. I was landing Mount Olympus. It was that aspect of it was actually not bad. Mount Olympus is like always very uncon. Like there was barely ever people there. So I'd always have good loots, you know, cat mats. Like I was just vibing, you know. But the second somebody keys me, yeah, say goodbye, man. There's no hope for me. Like if someone keys me, it's just over. Like there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. It's literally the same. If someone keys me, I'm using all my mats, all my splashes. I'm making sure they're going out with nothing. They are not taking a single thing from me. Literally. But yeah, it's just so frustrating because, like, when you're just shit mechanically, you can do everything right, like rotates and everything. All it takes is one person to fight you, and there goes your catch cup. Because it's like, you know, you're just like DJ. You said for round 2, it's like that's all it takes. It's just it
just takes generational match history.
I mean, I tried my best, man. You know.
Yeah. What happened in the last game?
What happened? So
you didn't even play all the games. You still had a game left.
No. I played. I played.
You ran out of time?
No, I played.
There's no way that's running out of time.
No, I didn't run out of time. That last game, I think. Also, Osborne, there was more people at Mount Olympus that game.
Yeah.
I killed a brother, so I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm cooking it, and then I got keyed by another guy, and then I died. The only game I'm actually very disappointed about, because I knew if I get keyed, I'm dying. So I wasn't like, in those games, like when most of the games I'm getting keyed, I'm just like, it is what it is. I know I'm gonna die there. The one game I'm disappointed in is the 4th game, the 16th place.
That's pretty.
I watched that game back on stream. If you guys saw how I died that game, oh my goodness. I was like, good mats, good loot, stacks. Like I just had everything I needed. I rotate off of like one of those mountains off the east, you know, like it was like 7th zone or something. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to banana rotate, you know, tank a bit of storm, banana rotate down the mountain, you know, I'm vibing.
Oh, you were stacked.
I fall down the mountain perfectly as planned. I slide off of a ramp and then jump off and die to 4 damage.
Oh my!
Oh my! Yeah, that's bad. I'm just
and it just wasn't. Yeah, it was not great. But you know, GG, we go next, man. It is what it is. We go next. What about you, DJ? You qualified, so things look a bit better for you.
I almost qualified in 3 games. I just milked one end game, but my strategy is I'll just play a bunch of end games and opens. I don't key too much. Get like decent start, and then. Finals, I did actually make all 3 end games in finals, but all 3 end games I died to some, typical bad boomer plays, you know.
Yeah.
But I did make 3 end games. Normally I die like twice mid game or twice or more or some shoot. So I actually did make all 3 end games, which is an improvement.
Yeah. See that's what I want to get. Like, I mean, I should be able to get to. Like, I'm watching my games back, and they're the easiest games to get any form of placement out of. It's like just to be able to play the finals and just play some end games and like even like. You know, I'm not going to make money. There's just no way I'm going to make money, right? But like top 11k, like we should all be qualifying top 11k.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
be
Next time.
easy.
Well, I didn't want to spend the whole time talking about us because I don't think people care too much about how we do. But I did want to talk about some of the better players and things from it. One thing I did notice is that there just wasn't that the whole like 40 bomb hype stuff we had from previous weeks before FNCS, and I wanted to get your thoughts, guys. Is the 40 bomb hype stuff dead now? Do people just not care anymore? Is it done? Like I felt like in EU at least, people weren't really going for it much. Like
Pablo
it wasn't
got a 31.
like people. It wasn't like it wasn't like in the previous solo cashies where it's like everybody's watching everybody in that first game. Like who's gonna get the 40? Like everyone's going for it. Like it didn't really feel like that. Obviously, like you said, like people are getting high kill games still. People are still keying, but it didn't feel like we had the whole 40 bomb race stuff going on still.
I think it's just hit a limit of how many kills you can really get in a solo victory cup final. I think like we've reached a stage where realistically, what is the record right now? 41. I don't know who got it. Peterbot got 41, 42, something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I just think the race to get first place in that sort of leaderboard, that made up leaderboard, I think is kind of over. Like I don't think people really care about it anymore because it's very, very unlikely that someone's going to get 45 kills in a solo game, and it's just like people just don't bother like even thinking about it anymore.
No, it's just like I think FNCS took the hype away from it because we had no FNCS. It was just everyone was like solo cash cup. Who's going to make, who's going to get the 40 bomb? And then FNCS comes around, then people are like, wait, solo cash cups don't actually mean anything. So then realistically, I feel like, as you said, it's not even that people aren't going for it. Like Peterbot got a 37 kill fifth. He's still going for it.
Yeah, he's always going to go for it right now because it's just more so. It's like one, he's the one that broke the record, and two, it's like he is he's it almost like not that his brand relies on it because it doesn't rely on it, but like it just plays more into his brand right now to go for. Like he doesn't need to do it, but he's gonna do it for the sake of it. What I thought was gonna happen was like what we sort of talked about on that first episode of the pod, where it's like now that Peterbot's hit 40, now we're just gonna see a bunch of people hitting 40 because people know it's possible, right? But it feels like, again, it's like sort of like what Minnie's saying, where people just don't really care. So like people now people know that you can do it, but they don't actually really care to do it. It's like, who cares?
No, exactly. Yeah, as I said, I think, FNCS are the big factor. And unless someone can get close to 50, no one's going to go. Because the whole thing was the first to break the 40 mark, right?
Yeah.
It's like, someone got 44 or like 40. What was it? 41's the record or 42's the record?
Something like that.
If someone gets 43, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be like wow, but no one's not gonna be like amazed as the first person who got 40 bomb, right? So unless we get close to the 50 bomb threshold, which I think we probably all think it's nearly impossible. Someone will be able to do it if they get the right lobby, but it's just like until we get close to that, I think the hype's gonna die down.
Yeah, it's also lost. It's just not as interesting, is it? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, no, I agree with you, but it's also I feel like we're all saying the same thing about FNCS as well. So FNCS ain't interesting, so the cash guy saying, "What the fuck's interesting then?" Like, the ESL's not interesting. Like, what's interesting then? Well, nothing. We got nothing.
I did want to bring this up.
Yeah,
I was going to bring this up in ugly. I was going to say this. It's like, what actually is an interesting format now? Is it bad that our most interesting format might be about eval cups? Like it actually might be because
I actually like the eval cups.
Yeah, I like the evals as well, but it's like solos are boring. like okay, a top 11k to qual, people going 40 bombs, it's easy for good players to win, right? You have Duo Cash Cup where 90%, well not 90%, but a lot of the players are cheaters. One player will qualify before last game, and the lobbies are they're like a late night Noble 24/7 session. And then you go to like zero build. Obviously, no one cares about zero build. It's like the tournaments at the moment, it is a mess. It feels like, where can we grab some actual important?
The future is these ESL Cups. It's going to revitalize comp.
Yes.
There's going to be 100k people watching 4v4 capture the flag with smoke grenades and stuff. It's going to be so good, guys. You got to believe. You got to lock in and believe.
Yeah. Those 2-round Duo Cash Cups with 300,000 people playing to top 50. Those don't matter. The ESL Cups, that's why
that's where the money is, man.
Yeah.
That's where the money is.
It's just, we're at a point now, as you said, it's like what actually matters for tournaments. I think that's a big problem with competitive. As you said, we talked about last week about the player count. I think all the tournaments, in my opinion, apart from eval now, being pretty shit to watch. Like, it's just like, because Duo Cash Cup finals, well, first of all, they got DDoSed 100 times, but even before then, the finals aren't that, because 90% of the pro players aren't qualifying to it. Like last season, I think Malibuka and Queasy put together qualified to 3 out of the 6 that were last season. Like one of them qualified. So it's like, it doesn't even show hugely skill qualifying to Duo Cash Cups in comparison to FNCS. And then solos, you can't see upcoming players. We can see some, but some will be cheating. You can't really see upcoming players in. You can't really see upcoming players in solos because we don't have solo finals. And then obviously,
the only players you care about in the Cash Cup, I only really care for people who win 2 games. Like I just look at who won 2 games. Maybe I watch one of their games, see what they do, and then outside of that, because so many people win a game that you're like they won a game. Like it's a shame though.
Yeah.
Because Harry, we were talking about this off camera after one of the FNtasia eps, where I think if we were to be like objective and like rate all the tournaments they've ever done, I think the solo Cash Cup format that they have now might have an argument for the best tournament they've ever done or like ever created. Like in terms of a format being able to be exciting for people of all levels to play, bring in a lot of players and encourage a lot of people to play.
I think it's good. I
genuinely think like Solo Cash Cup is probably the best format they've ever done for a tournament. But even that now is starting to feel at least maybe like that the excitement in it is going. I'm sure it's still keeping people playing because again, I queued up for it. When was the last time I queued up for a Fortnite tournament? Jeez. So it gets people. I feel like we need more tournaments that at least can rival the Solo Cash Cup in terms of being able to bring people in and get people playing.
I think we need more finals. In my opinion, I think we need more finals. I think we're in a season. This season, how many Duo Cash Cup we've had finals? We've had 3 Eval Cup finals, which they matter, but they don't matter that much. And if we think about we can go all the way back to Chapter 2 or Chapter 3. I was thinking about it. If we're not going to have a lot of Fortnite, even though now we know Fortnite ESL is going to be ESL on Fortnite, why don't we bring back some form of like solo finals format? Like the DreamHacks used to be, like the solo finals, which again, you can see upcoming players, you can see new like stars coming on the scene. You saw like that's where Nebs came from, that's where Teeny came from, that's where Vino came from. It's a lot of where the best players now came through solos. But when all we have is solo victory cups, and we don't even have because I don't mind having solo victory cups if we then have some level of top competition. A finals once a week, even if it was 4 times a season, 4 times or 3 times a season, or even once a season with a big prize pool. I think most people would take that.
I think I said this before on somebody's stream. They should get I said it on a bigger level, but I was saying all the people who win the most solo victory cup games should be invited to some sort of solo final.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I remember I said it should be a LAN, but people said, "Oh, LAN, no, chill out." But even if it was just at the end of the season, they have one solo final where it's the top 100 solo victory cup winners, and then I'm sure that would be a fun tournament, in terms of a solo cup. That would be really cool. So
it increases solo victory cups as well from that, because now you're excited who gets 2 wins, because they might qualify with those 2 wins. It comes into the last week, you see the leaderboard, who needs 1 win, who needs 2 wins. It actually makes it a bit more exciting than who can drop a 40 bomb and who can win 2
That's
games.
a very good idea, Levin. Why are you not in charge of good ideas like that?
It's a good idea, guys. Hey,
what an amazing idea. Actually, one of the best ideas I've heard in ages.
I know somebody from Epic is watching this shit. You better get that tournament run. I know you're watching this. Come on, just give us that tournament. I know you want 7 wins. Yeah. Hopefully. I feel like it would be cool if we had something like that. We just need more tournaments. I think as a community, as much as people like to be Debbie Downers in this community, because that's just what we do. We complain. We're gamers at the end of the day. People are really excited about competitive, and a lot of people came back into competitive, especially after OG. And I feel like, as much as things are in a better place than they've been in a long, long time, I definitely think we can be doing more. And I'd love to see us to have more.
I think the metas have been good for competitive the last 2 seasons.
The
DMR meta's a little bit boring to watch sometimes, but the overall metas have not been hammers, rocket ram, just all the builds explode in 1 second in endgame. It's just the metas have been quite fun to watch and compete. It's just the formats around it don't feel like it's living up to what it can or what we've had in the past.
I think we should all have a bit of gratefulness. I think that's one thing as a whole community. People aren't very grateful with it's actually pretty good. It could be. I know the viewership's down a little bit, players down a little bit, but it is actually pretty good. Like it could be a lot worse. It's definitely been a lot worse.
We've experienced much worse as a community. We have experienced a lot worse, 100%. But yeah, I mean, I think we got through mostly everything. I'm conscious of time here, but yeah, I think we can wrap up a bit here soon. Let's let everyone know what you're up to. Miniman, where can the people find you? What are you going to be up to over the next sort of over the break periods?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitch, Miniminer YT. I'll be doing some streams over on Twitch as well, Miniminer Gaming, playing some tournaments and doing some fun stuff on there. And yeah, just kind of preparing for the semi-finals. Watching some VODs, doing some work, just the usual.
You're not going to tell them that we're doing up now, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, we did play the performance of Val on Tuesday.
How did that go?
It went well. I think we struggled a bit at the first few games. We started half an hour late, struggled for the first 4 games. We played 6, I think, and then we had a win in the third. Just popped off. I think we know how to play the game well. Both of us understand deeply how to rotate. The fighting aspect, I think, probably could do with some work.
Hold on, a 10-kill win. That's not bad. That's not 10
win. Hold on,
a 10-kill win.
10-kill, yeah.
In the Dennis lobby.
You should have seen.
You are an hour and a half
into
You're an hour and a half into the tournament, and you're on like 30 points.
Yes. It was, but there's promising signs here, and we were even saying that we're in the wrong job. We should be playing. We're actually in the wrong job.
Top 5K is not bad.
Top 5K.
We out DJ and Reese, so
yeah,
in our first cup together. So
So look out for us on the leaderboards very soon if you can scroll far enough.
Yeah, you got to scroll if you're gonna find us. DJ, what are you gonna be up to, brother?
I think me and Resub's FNCS experiment has gone out the window a little bit.
Are you dropping him?
No, maybe. No, definitely not.
Hold up, this is the FNtasia exclusive. No. Dropped.
Right, me and Reese, we were gonna play FNTS. We were gonna grind. We done it. We did our training, our ranked, our landing Olympus, getting 2 kills on spawn and ranked. And I'm happy. I mean, we made opens. That was kind of my goal. I also did some coaching for the first time in ages. I know you guys think I'm a bit of a lazy bum when it comes to coaching, but I actually did some coaching and it helped. Got me and Reese out of opens for once. So what am I going to be doing? I'm working
any
on
masterclass plugs?
Yeah, the fighting masterclass is in progress, boys. Any of you who are interested?
I'm gonna be buying, mate.
Yeah, I think everyone needs
I need it.
But I'm working on that, getting some pros on that. That would be very good. And that's pretty much it. Might be doing some more group type coaching for solos next season, I think, as well as FNCS next season. I actually really enjoyed doing that coaching. So if any of you are interested in that, then stay tuned, I guess. Be announcing it soon.
Has
the usual. Going to be doing morning streams, VOD views. I mean, the next 3 weeks is going to be a struggle. It's going to be a bit of a drag trying to find anything to watch or do. I'm actually going to have to come up with some content, not just read my chat for 3 hours. But we'll figure out. But usual place, Coach_Harry on Twitch. You can follow me there and hopefully learn a thing or two.
Well, since nobody ever asks me anything about me, no one ever asks me, "Oh, 11,
fine. What are you doing? What are you doing there? What are you doing?"
So I am gonna be chilling. Really, there's not much to do. We're bringing back Hotline FN. The first episode was supposed to be today, but then Ozzy got asked to go to DreamHack Melbourne like yesterday, so we're delaying it till Monday. But excited to bring that back. I hope we get all of you here as callers. Please call into that first show because
I'll do some hate watching.
That would be, please do. We're bringing back Hotline FN. I got another show in the works as well that I'm going to be bringing back. I do want to say big thank you to everyone that's been showing their support. We're like at the end of the podcast, so like the amount of people that see this will be like minimal, but I've seen a lot of like really positive comments about the show. Like a lot of people saying, yeah, like it's good, they're enjoying it. It's like they miss conversations like this about comp. So appreciate everyone that's been showing their love. Please continue to do so. That's what keeps us going there. And we got more stuff coming out for you soon. Next week, I think the plan will be again, to discuss sort of a preview of semi-finals. I have some like fun segments I have in mind that I think will be really good. So I'm gonna get some of those put together. We might be moving the date of the show as well, just to let you guys all know. Just because in my great wisdom, I realized doing an FNCS recap show on Thursday when FNCS was like 5 days ago is very hard. So we're probably gonna do that until at least until the end of the FNCS season, and we'll see what happens with schedules and stuff. But yeah, man. Appreciate you guys all for watching and listening. If you've joined the stream late and you want to catch up, it'll be available again to watch straight away on YouTube. When you can listen to it, it'll be available on Spotify and Apple tonight as well. So yeah, have a lovely evening, guys. Take care. Peace out.